Dual Cultivation audiobook by Kevin Chapter 201. Preparing to concoct the soul divination pill. Wang Xuren couldn't believe that Su Yang was only 16 years old, especially not with the amount of knowledge he's shown her, as such extensive knowledge is not something a mere 16 years old can imagine achieving, not even these so-called prodigies. I do not believe you, Wang Xuren said as she pulled out a crystal ball from her storage ring. This thing is called an age crystal. It peers into one's bones to determine the age of the individual with 100% accuracy. If you really are 16 years old, then you wouldn't be afraid to. Before Wang Xuren could even finish her sentence, Su Yang placed his hands on the crystal ball, causing it to glow a light green color, and the number 16 appeared inside the crystal a few seconds later. I impossible. You really are only 16 years old. Wang Xuren felt extremely dizzy at this moment. How could Su Yang be 16 years old when his knowledge in the Tao of alchemy is as vast as an ocean, something even experts with hundreds of years of experience could not hope to achieve and only stare at with jealousy? It just didn't make sense no matter how she thought about it. However, if Su Yang happened to be the reincarnation of the god of alchemy, then perhaps it would make his achievements much more believable in Wang Xuren's eyes. "Enough talking about me," Su Yang suddenly said. "The sun is already setting, so concoct one more burning dragon pill for me." Although she was still greatly shocked by her discovery, Wang Xuren poured all of her focus on the burning dragon pill. After receiving Su Yang's lecture for nearly half a day without rest, she was confident that she could concoct the pill while half asleep. But because she wanted it to show Su Yang her best pill, she didn't dare to spare anything less than her maximum effort. A few hours later, right as the moon appeared in the sky, Wang Xuren retrieved the pill from the cauldron and handed it to Su Yang with a bright smile on her face. 95% high-grade quality, Su Yang nodded upon inspecting the pill. He then turned to Wang Xuren and said, "Go ahead and take a break to restore your energy. You will be concocting the pill right afterward." Wang Xuren nodded and went to change her robes and even relaxed in the bath for a bit. Once she returned to the room, Su Yang handed her the recipe for the soul divination pill and the process of concocting it. "Memorize this before we start," he said. "Soul divination pill. I have never heard of this pill before," Wang Xuren thought to herself as she read its contents. "And it even requires this many herbs." Wang Xuren was slightly taken back by a lot of the herbs on this list, as more than a third of them were unheard of to her. What will happen if I don't succeed in concocting this pill?" Wang Xuren asked him with a worried tone. She was no longer confident of her abilities despite the advancements in her Tao of alchemy after seeing the soul divination pill. "You don't have to worry about that because I will be concocting this pill alongside you," said Su Yang. "What?" Wang Xuren looked at him with a puzzled face. She's never heard of two people concocting the same pill at the same time before. "You will understand when the time comes. As for now, just focus on memorizing the recipe and your role in concocting the pill." "If you say so." Wang Xuren no longer bothered him and focused on studying the recipe. Meanwhile, Su Yang also prepared himself for the pill concoction, as he will need to partake in something dangerous while Wang Xuren concocted the pill. A few hours later, once Wang Xuren was filled with energy, Su Yang said to her, "Do you have the recipe memorized?" Wang Xuren nodded with a serious expression. "I can even recall the entire thing backward." Su Yang then sat on the other side of the cauldron in front of Wang Xuren and continued, "Before we start, I will explain a few things. During the concocting of the pill, I will be mixing my blood with the ingredients and a few other things, so it will be much more difficult to maintain control for you. However, you don't have to worry about it because I will be assisting you when that happens. And I'm aware that you have never concocted a pill in such a fashion before, but all you need to do is focus on your part." One of the few reasons why Su Yang decided to not concoct the soul divination pill alone is because, in order for the pill to be fully efficient on him, the soul divination pill required fresh blood that came straight from the body, while also needing to enhance that blood with a unique technique before mixing it with the other ingredients in the cauldron. And it would be difficult even for someone like Su Yang to maintain his control over the cauldron while doing all of that. Hence why he sought Wang Xuren to help him concoct the pill in his stead. That being said, it is entirely possible to concoct the soul divination pill without his blood, but the effect it will have on his body will be greatly reduced. In other words, there was a high chance that the soul divination pill would not be able to accurately find the other soul in his body even if it exists. After listening to his words, Wang Xuren nodded and began inspecting the ingredients. But because she didn't know many of these herbs, Su Yang helped her go through them, making the entire process much faster. After inspection, Wang Xuren began grinding the herbs until it turns into powder, while Su Yang closed his eyes to prepare for the pill concoction. Later, Chapter 202, consuming the soul divination pill. Once the pill concoction began, the entire room turned silent. Wang Xuren moved with swiftness and sharpness, but each of her movements was also made with precision and care. She was extremely cautious with the ingredients she tossed into the cauldron, treating them as though they were fragile treasures, as a single burned ingredient meant the end of this pill concoction. Su Yang assisted her with controlling the cauldron's temperature for now so she could focus on the ingredients inside, making it much easier for her. After a few hours, when they are finally at a crucial part of the concoction, Su Yang stopped controlling the flames and retrieved the heaven-grade spiritual weapon he had obtained inside the Immortal's treasury, the Black Scorpion, and sliced a small wound at the tip of his thumb. Although the Black Scorpion poisons anything it comes in contact with, Su Yang, being the owner of this Black Scorpion, had the ability to seal the poison inside the dagger so he wouldn't be poisoned to death. "I will transfer the control back to you now," Su Yang said to Wang Xuren before he stopped supporting the alchemy flames. Once there was an opening on his finger, Su Yang began mumbling a profound scripture, causing the profound qi in his body to react in frenzy and rush towards the small wound on his fingers. A few seconds later, Su Yang removed the cauldron lid and dripped a single drop of his fresh blood into the cauldron to mix with the ingredients. The instant his blood mixed with the ingredients, Wang Xuren could feel something profound and inexplicable happening to the ingredient, and the energy inside Wang Xuren began draining at a much faster rate. What is happening?" Wang Xuren was shocked when the cauldron began absorbing her energy at a pace that she has never experienced before. As a matter of fact, she's never even heard of such a phenomenon. It was almost like the cauldron had suddenly turned into a black hole with an endless hunger for energy. "Focus on the cauldron." Su Yang's sudden voice forced Wang Xuren out of her daze. I'm sorry." Wang Xuren's heart raced. If she had dozed off for just a few more seconds, then everything in the cauldron would have burned to a crisp. And when Wang Xuren thought that was the end, Su Yang used the Black Scorpion to cut another wound on his other fingers. After he recited a few more profound techniques, Su Yang dripped 4 more drops of blood into the cauldron with a few seconds in between each one. And with each additional drop of blood mixed into the cauldron, Wang Xuren would feel the mysterious force that was absorbing her energy growing stronger. Luckily, by the time Wang Xuren almost ran out of strength, Su Yang finished his part and took over the pill concoction. "I will now take over until the end, thank you," Su Yang said to her with a smile. Wang Xuren laid on the floor while breathing heavily, her robes soaked in sweat. Just those last few minutes felt like she'd been concocting pills for days without rest. It was extremely exhausting. Once she rested enough, Wang Xuren watched Su Yang concoct the pill with wide eyes. To last this long without a drop of sweat on his body, just how much profound chi does this guy have? She wondered inwardly, as she didn't want to disturb him. Not to mention just how casually he took over my control over the cauldron. Normally, one wouldn't be able to replace the individual that is already concocting a pill without needing some time to adjust to the situation, as each alchemy master has their own technique and unique methods. Yet Su Yang somehow replaced Wang Xuren and continued concocting the pill without even a slight pause in between. It was almost like Wang Xuren had never left in the first place, something Wang Xuren herself cannot comprehend. A little bit over 10 minutes after Su Yang replaced Wang Xuren, Su Yang finished concocting the pill and removed the lid on the cauldron, retrieving the blood-red colored pill inside the cauldron. Although she didn't comprehend the feeling, when Wang Xuren saw the soul divination pill for the first time, she felt something deep inside her consciousness tremble with excitement. That is the soul divination pill. It looks so ordinary yet so profound. However, Su Yang did respond to her and instead tossed the soul divination pill into his mouth immediately after taking it out of the cauldron, dumbfounding Wang Xuren. "You are going to consume it right now," she exclaimed with surprise. After consuming the soul divination pill, Su Yang sat down and closed his eyes to cultivate. When Wang Xuren saw this, afraid that she'd bother him, she quickly left the room. "Master, are you finally done?" Xiao Yan asked Wang Xuren the moment she left the room, almost like she had stood there waiting for her the entire time. "Yes," Wang Xuren nodded. "Why do you have such an expression on your face?" she then asked Xiao Yan upon seeing her worried face. "The thing is, somebody found a pile of what looked like ashes somewhere in the inner court, and it turned out to be human ashes." "What? Who could be this disrespectful towards another human? Do they know who the ashes belong to?" Wang Xuren felt slightly disgusted by the actions of this individual. "Well, there are no official words from the sect yet, but there have been rumors going around that the ashes belong to Wang Ming, Master's cousin." Xiao Yan spoke with a reserved tone, as it is only a rumor and not confirmed. "What, Wang Ming? How could he be dead when I saw him just before I began selling the burning lotus pills? I am going to see him right now." "Wait," Xiao Yan quickly stopped her and said, "that might be somewhat difficult as Wang Ming's been missing since this morning." Wang Xuren's eyes widened with shock. Could Wang Ming really be dead? If that's really true, how did it happen? How did he die so suddenly? Although she sees him as a disgrace to the Wang family because of his actions, he still belonged to her family at the end of the day. And if someone killed him, she will have to look for answers not for herself, but for Wang Ming's parents. Chapter 203 Wang family's grief after hearing that Wang Ming might be dead. Wang Xuren immediately went to his living quarters. However, when she arrived, there were over 24 disciples already surrounding Wang Ming's house, along with a few sect elders. Elder Wang When the sect elder noticed Wang Xuren's approaching figure, they immediately went to greet her. However, because of the situation, neither of the sect elders had a pleasant expression on their faces. What is going on? Are the rumors true that my cousin is dead and you found his ashes? Wang Xuren did not beat around the bush and ask them. Although they seemed hesitant at first, the sect elders nodded their heads and said, "Indeed, the ashes have been determined to be Wang Ming. What's more, he was burned to death by alchemy flames. What? Alchemy flames? Impossible. Wang Xuren expressed shock, but she was more surprised by the alchemy flames part than the death of Wang Ming, as it would require extremely powerful alchemy flames to burn someone to death, much less until they are reduced to ashes. In this entire sect, there is only one individual who could possibly achieve such a feat, the sect master. However, why would the sect master secretly kill someone, much less a disciple such as Wang Ming? After pondering some more, Another individual that might be able to achieve this feat appeared in her head. However, if it really turned out to be that person, there's nothing she nor the sect could do to avenge Wang Ming. What do you think we should do about this, Elder Wang? And if possible, I would like for you, as someone from the Wang family, to let his family know of his death. One of the sect elders asked her, as they didn't want to be the ones to engage the Wang family's wrath. I will let the Wang family know about Wang Ming, and as for his death, tell the sect master that the Wang family will also be handling the investigations, said Wang Xuren after pondering for some time. I will let the sect master know right away. Before the sect elders left, they chased away the curious disciples surrounding Wang Ming's living quarters, as they did not want the disciples to look disrespectful towards the dead. Once the sect elders left, Wang Xuren also left the Burning Lotus sect to return to the Wang family. What did you just say? Wang Ming is dead. And he even died within the Burning Lotus sect. The head of the Wang family, Wang Chen, frowned upon hearing the news, his face filled with anger. Although he felt nothing but disappointment after learning of Wang Ming's disgraceful behaviors, Wang Ming was still his son, and to hear that his son had died right after the Wang family punished him, Wang Chen felt slightly guilty and a bit of regret. My son is dead. Wang Ming's mother broke down in tears on the spot, feeling even more devastated than the moment she learned that her son turned out to be a rapist. After all, no matter how much of a troublemaker Wang Ming was, at least he was still alive. Do you have any idea who the killer is? Is it a fellow disciple? Wang Chen asked her with a somewhat calm voice despite boiling with anger. What about the cause of death? Was it the result of some dispute? He continued to ask questions. We do not have any clue as to who may have killed Wang Ming, but he died after being burned to death. Wang Xuren finally revealed to them the true horror of his death. When we found Wang Ming, he was already in ashes. When Wang Ming's mother heard this, she fainted on her seat, causing panic within the room. Somebody bring my wife to her room to rest. Wang Chen cried out to the servants waiting outside. Servants immediately came rushing in after hearing his words, and they gently moved the unconscious mother to her own room. I don't believe it. How could he have died in such a fashion? And in his own sect at that? Wang Chen shook his head in disbelief. You don't even have a single suspect in mind. What about all those women he had wrongfully taken advantage of? Do you think one of them could have done it? Or at least have something to do with his death? Wang Xuren shook her head and said, That's impossible because the fire used to kill Wang Ming was alchemy flames, so it must have been done by an alchemy master and not an ordinary one at that. Alchemy flames. Then that individual must have great power. But why would someone like that kill Wang Ming? Perhaps one of his victims had an extremely powerful backer. No, that wouldn't make sense, as she wouldn't have become his victim in the first place if she already had someone like that behind her. Wang Xuren remained silent as Wang Chen pondered about the possibilities, not even mentioning about Su Yang, whom she was almost certain to be Wang Ming's killer, as there are many evidence that leads to him. Not only did Su Yang match the killer's persona of a powerful alchemy master, but he was also the first one to have shed light on Wang Ming's behavior at the Burning Lotus sect, even forcing her to deal with him. What's more, Su Yang had left Wang Xuren's side around the time Wang Ming's death, and he was even being secretive about where he'd been when Wang Xuren asked him. All of these points made Wang Xuren confident that Su Yang was the one behind Wang Ming's death. But alas, even if she has such information, there was nothing she could do about it, as she wouldn't even dare to question him, much less hold him accountable for Wang Ming's death. Whatever the reason was, Wang Ming could only blame himself for offending someone like Su Yang. Even if you are my cousin, I wouldn't offend him for someone like you, especially after all that you've done. Wang Xuren shrugged her shoulders and shook her head inwardly. Chapter 204 Slap My What? After speaking with Wang Chen for a few more minutes, Wang Xuren returned back to the Burning Lotus Sect to see if Su Yang has emerged from his cultivation yet, as she had a few questions that she'd really like to ask him. Su Yang. Wang Xuren was slightly bewildered when the first thing she noticed upon walking into her house was Su Yang casually sipping tea on her couch. How can he act so casually after killing someone from the Wang family? Although he may not fear the Wang family, he should still be somewhat wary of the consequences, as he'd killed not just someone from the Wang family but also an inner court disciple from Burning Lotus Sect whilst in their territory. If the Burning Lotus Sect finds out, they might hunt him down. What's wrong? Your face is filled with worry. Su Yang placed the tea down and said, I have a few questions I'd like to ask you. And I'd appreciate if you told me the truth. Wang Xuren prepared to herself to question him. It's about Wang Ming. However, before she could even ask him anything, Su Yang opened his mouth and spoke with a calm voice. Yes, I killed him. Wang Xuren's eyes widened. Though because she had already guessed that he would be Wang Ming's killer, she wasn't shocked by the reveal. Instead, she was surprised at how nonchalant his attitude was towards all of this. Are you angry that I killed someone from your family? Do you want to avenge him? Su Yang then asked her, his voice still as calm as ever. However, Wang Xuren could tell that Su Yang was only testing her, and she responded, No, I do not feel anything over that animal's death, and he most definitely deserved it after everything he's done. And on the contrary, I'd like to thank you for taking care of him, as I couldn't due to my relationship with his parents. But if you don't mind me asking, why did you do it? I did not like him, that's all. Su Yang gave her a simple answer, but such an answer caused Wang Xuren to tremble in fear. He would risk the entire Burning Lotus Sect and the Wang family going after him to kill Wang Ming simply because he didn't like Wang Ming. Is he simply too arrogant or extremely confident that they wouldn't be able to touch him? Wang Xuren pondered. Either way, his actions proved just how dangerous of an existence Su Yang was. Not only are his abilities heaven-defying, but even his background is nothing short of fearsome. To offend someone as dangerous as Su Yang is akin to courting death. No, it's definitely even more terrifying than courting death and more like begging to be killed. Anyway, if you are not here to avenge that clown, then why are you here? Su Yang asked her. This is my house, Wang Xuren said with a dumbfounded face. Oh, right. Su Yang burst out laughing. He was feeling so comfortable that he thought he was at home. That being said, I will act as though Wang Ming died of natural causes. As for the Wang family and the Burning Lotus Sect, as long as I don't say anything, there's zero chance that the truth will be revealed. Won't that be considered as an act of treachery? Su Yang smiled. Wang Xuren became speechless for a moment before saying, I am willing to betray my own family and sect if it's for you. Wang Xuren immediately blushed after saying those words. She had spoken without thinking and couldn't have imagined that such words would come out of her mouth even in a million years. How admirable, Su Yang smiled. Anyway, how did your cultivation go? Did you achieve your goals? Wang Xuren decided to lessen her embarrassment by changing the topic. Su Yang did not say anything and only nodded with a smile. Is that why you seem so happy? Want to tell me about it? You wouldn't believe it even if I told you. Try me. Su Yang shook his head and stood up from his seat and said, Trust me, you don't want to know. Anyway, I should leave now. I have already stayed here for too long. Wang Xuren didn't know what to say to him as she watched him approach the door. It was as if her lips were stitched shut, forcing her to watch him leave in silence. At the end of the day, this is how much their relationship amounted to. Although he treated her as though she was his own disciple, even lecturing her, they are only accomplices, and Wang Xuren couldn't think of anything reasonable to say to him, as she was in no position to tell him to stay here even for a second longer. In the end, Wang Xuren bid farewell to Su Yang with a smile on her alluring face. As long as I am alive, I will be here whenever you need me again. If it were anyone else, they would have definitely turned around upon seeing Wang Xuren's reluctant eyes, perhaps even embrace her while telling her that he'll stay just for her. Su Yang did not look back and continued to walk, but a few seconds later, Su Yang retrieved a few scrolls from his storage ring and tossed it at Wang Xuren. Study those pill recipes while I am gone, and I may return in the future for your help with those and perhaps more. Who knows? Wang Xuren accepted these pill recipes with a delighted face. While she has yet to look at these pill recipes, she was confident that they were all extremely valuable pills and would shock the world if known. And don't slack on your technique just because you are slightly better than before, or else I will have to slap your butt as punishment. Su Yang said whilst laughing out loud. Slap my what? Wang Xuren instinctively covered her round buttocks after hearing his words, and on her face was an expression of bewilderment mixed with bashfulness. His last words were as unexpected as his sudden appearance in the Burning Lotus Sect, and it gave Su Yang's handsome and mysterious image in her head more of a perverted feeling. Truly a dangerous man. Wang Xuren thought to herself as he watched Su Yang's figure disappear from her sight. Chapter 205 Lack of Discipline. After leaving Wang Xuren's place, Su Yang strolled through the Burning Lotus Sect and towards the exit. And because he'd already said his goodbyes to Zhang Ziu Ying before leaving her house this morning, there was no reason for him to see her before he leaves. More than just a few disciples would turn their heads to look at Su Yang as he walked past them, seemingly dazed by his appearance. Some were disgusted by the robes he wore, yet there were others that looked at him with adoration, clearly attracted by his handsome face and the mesmerizing air that surrounded him. However, just as Su Yang approached the outer court, someone shouted in a loud voice as he pointed at Su Yang's figure. It's him. That's the bastard that attacked me and the inner court disciples at Lotus City. The man that raised his voice was the core disciple that had all of his faces slapped out of him by Su Yang at Lotus City, and accompanying him was a sect elder from the Burning Lotus Sect, who looked at Su Yang with a frown on his face. You there, stop right there. The sect elder used a movement technique and appeared before Su Yang with a single step, leaving a small fire at where he once stood. Su Yang looked at the middle-aged man before him with an indifferent face, his expression as calm as water in a still cup. You are the one who attacked my disciple. You sure don't look like someone who is capable of such a feat, so I will give you that. The sect elder looked up and down at Su Yang's elegant and slim appearance, seemingly analyzing him. Are you sure he is the one? The sect elder turned to ask his disciple, who was approaching them with a face filled with worry, almost as if he is still afraid of Su Yang after what happened to him. It's really him. He's the one who attacked me after I warned him for disrespecting our Burning Lotus Sect and disciples whilst in our territory, the core disciple confirmed. Upon hearing his disciple's word, the sect elder nodded and returned to focus on Su Yang. You sure have some tough guts, young man. Or are you simply just ignorant? Do you have any idea how small the Profound Blossom Sect is when before our Burning Lotus Sect? Su Yang smiled and said, Are you going to avenge your disciple who had been slapped away like some fly? A sect elder like you, even a large power like the Burning Lotus Sect won't have enough face to spare for you. The sect elder burst out laughing after hearing his words. Revenge? Ha ha ha, that is wrong, young man. My disciple got beat because he was weaker than you, that's all. After laughing for a few seconds, The sect elder suddenly showed a serious face and continued, "What I will be doing to you is simply discipline for acting too arrogant and disrespectful in the Burning Lotus sect. Even now, you have yet to greet me, your senior. Don't crap your pants, as I won't be too harsh on you, just a few broken bones." The sect elder's eyes flickered with slight killing intent, looking extremely serious. "You can't blame anyone but your sect for their lack of discipline towards their own disciples, or else they wouldn't need someone like me to take their place to discipline you." Su Yang's expression had remained indifferent this entire time, and the way he looked at the sect elder was the same as looking an ant, perhaps even something more insignificant. Is that so?" Even his voice was filled with nonchalance. Seeing Su Yang's non-caring attitude, something that was way beyond the middle-aged man's expectation, the sect elder's face fumed red from anger. And without even a warning, the middle-aged man pushed his palms that suddenly began flaring up with flames forward and directly at Su Yang's chest. Despite seeing the incoming strike and having the ability to block it, Su Yang merely remained standing there without even flinching an eyelid, looking like a stone statue. Burning Lotus Palm Strike. The palm reached Su Yang's chest at a speed that was faster than anyone can blink, and at the moment of impact, a large fire exploded from where Su Yang was struck. The fire seemed like it was going to swallow Su Yang whole within the next second, but the sect elder unexpectedly retrieved his palms before that could happen. Once he retrieved his palm, the sect elder jumped back to distance himself from Su Yang, his face pouring with sweat. Master. The core disciple's eyes nearly popped out from shock when he noticed the weird way the sect elder's hand was bending. Somehow, the sect elder had crippled his own hand from the strike. What did you do to me?" The sect elder managed to suppress the desire to scream in his body and save face, but the pain was as clear as day on his terrified expression. Su Yang, who did not even flinch from the strike, stood there and spoke with a smile on his face. "What are you talking about? You were the one who struck me." "Bullshit. You must have done something." The sect elder refused to accept the result. There was no way that he, who was at the second-level Earth Spirit realm, would lose to some disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect, much less severely injuring himself in the process. Su Yang shook his head and said, "I don't care what you think, but to suddenly attack a junior without any warnings, what kind of senior are you?" Su Yang began approaching the sect elder, and he continued to speak. "Since your sect cannot discipline their own disciples, I will have to discipline you myself." Wait a second. When the sect elder noticed Su Yang approaching him, his face immediately sunk, and he quickly used his unharmed hand to retrieve something from his robes and threw it high into the sky. A few seconds later, the thing the sect elder threw into the sky exploded, causing a ball of flames to appear in the sky, looking like a signal of some sorts. Su Yang looked at the fireball in the sky with raised eyebrows. "What is that?" He wondered. Chapter 206. Surrounded by experts, the explosion in the sky was a signal for help, something only used when a person of the Burning Lotus sect is in grave danger. Though not every disciple of the Burning Lotus sect is given such an item, as mostly sect elders or core disciples would receive them due to their importance to the sect. And according to the Burning Lotus sect rules, one must stop whatever they are doing to answer the call for help if noticed, especially sect elders, even if they are aware of the danger ahead. When the explosion occurred in the sky above the Burning Lotus sect, various sect elders and core disciples within the sect that noticed the flames immediately stopped whatever they were doing and began heading towards the site where the explosion appeared. Within mere minutes, sect elders and elite disciples numbering in the hundreds appeared at Su Yang's location, shocking every single disciple there, as many of them have never seen so many sect elders and core disciples in one place before besides grand occasions. suddenly surrounded by at least 1,000 burning lotus disciples, and elders ranging from the true spirit realm to the earth spirit realm. One would expect a young disciple like Su Yang to piss his pants and pass out from fear. But in reality, Su Yang only calmly smiled at the situation and said to the sect elder with the broken hand, "Talk about an exaggerated reaction. I haven't even touched you, yet you went out of your way to seek for this much help like you are on the brink of death, especially after sneak attacking me just now. Just like your disciple, you have no shame. What happened here, Elder Lao? Why did you activate the emergency talisman?" The sect elders expressed confusion after seeing the situation. From their point of view, there's nothing out of the ordinary here at first glance that would necessitate the use of the emergency talisman, something only meant for near-death situations. That bastard over there is an intruder. Not only did he cripple my hand, but from what I've learned, he's here with the intention to cause great harm to our burning lotus sect. Upon hearing his words, the sect elders turned to look at Su Yang with a deep frown on their faces. Intruder. He's just an inner court disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect. What can he possibly do that could harm us? The sect elders expressed doubt, but such a reaction was only natural, as the Profound Blossom Sect is not a place that could threaten them even if they were to launch a full-scale attack on them, much less a single disciple from that place. Elder Lao began panicking inwardly when he realized that he'd acted too rashly with the emergency talisman. If he doesn't justify his reasons for using it, he might be the one to the punished instead of Su Yang for wasting valuable resources and everybody's time. Suddenly, he remembered Wang Ming, who had mysteriously died recently, and said while pointing at Su Yang, "My disciple saw that bastard kill Wang Ming." Of course, Elder Lao couldn't have known about Su Yang killing Wang Ming and was only farting lies to make him look more dangerous, but little did he know that he'd accidentally revealed the truth. "What? Is that true?" The way the sect elders looked at Su Yang immediately changed upon hearing Elder Lao's random excuse. Even Su Yang expressed surprise when Wang Ming was suddenly brought up. He was certain that nobody was nearby when he killed Wang Ming, yet this Elder Lao somehow learned about it. Wait a moment. A sweet voice resounded before Su Yang could even speak, and a figure appeared before him. "Age, he didn't do it with the intention to harm the sect. It was because of me," the person said. Su Yang looked at the pretty girl before him with wide eyes, who happened to be Zhang Ziying. While Su Yang never told Zhang Ziying about killing Wang Ming, she was certain that Su Yang had killed Wang Ming for her when she heard about his death after what Su Yang said to her before. "Who are you?" Many of the sect elders did not recognize Zhang Ziying and asked her. I am Zhang Ziying," she introduced herself with a timid voice. "Disciple Zhang, what do you mean by those words just now? Care to explain?" Zhang Ziying nodded and gave them a quick explanation of how Wang Ming had been abusing his status as an inner court disciple to pressure outer court female disciples into sleeping with him. Then she told them about how Su Yang helped her by revealing Wang Ming. Who would have thought that someone like Wang Ming turned out to be such a guy? Many elders and disciples expressed deep disgust after learning of Wang Ming's true identity. Some of them even felt gratitude towards Su Yang for killing him, as they would have done the same. Su Yang watched all of this unfold before him with lifted brows, seemingly surprised by how the situation was progressing without needing to speak a single word. "That's right. I was the one who killed Wang Ming." Su Yang finally confessed to killing Wang Ming despite having the intentions to deny all allegations just a few moments ago. When Elder Lao heard Su Yang's confession, his eyes widened with shock. He didn't think that his bullshit would turn out to be true. A few moments later, an old man appeared from within the crowd and stood a few meters away from Su Yang, his profound gaze filled with awe and admiration when looking at Su Yang. "Great Elder Han." All the sect elders and disciples instantly recognized this old man with long white hair and faux mustache. Why would you disguise yourself as a mere disciple from the Profound Blossom Sect? Great Elder Han spoke while playing with his long mustache. What? He's not a disciple from that place, even though he's wearing their uniform. Everybody expressed bewilderment when they heard Great Elder Han's words. Anybody can obtain even unique clothes with some effort, and you may appear to be weak, but you cannot fool me. Great Elder Han's eyes stared at Su Yang with a profound feeling, almost like he could see through him. What are you talking about? Su Yang asked him with a slight smile on his face. Although nobody here can see your real cultivation base, I do not blame them, as only someone at the heavenly spirit realm like myself would be able to see your peak earth spirit realm cultivation base. What? Peak earth spirit realm. When Great Elder Han revealed Su Yang's true cultivation base at the peak of the earth spirit realm, everybody there exclaimed with great shock, especially Elder Lao, who directly fell on his butt from shock. Even Zhang Ziu Ying couldn't help but gasp in shock and look at Su Yang with a dazed face, seemingly in disbelief. Whilst the Earth Spirit realm may not seem much at the holy central continent, it marks the peak of the cultivation world in this place. Chapter 207 One-sided fight against the Burning Lotus Sect to put into perspective of one's influence at the peak Earth Spirit realm. Liu Lanjai, who is only around the 4th level of the Earth Spirit realm, has the capability to control an entire sect all by herself. Whilst it may not be the most powerful sect out there, it would already require tons of resources for a family of hundreds to strive, much less a sect that usually has no less than a few thousand disciples. I don't know why, nor do I care about your reasons for disguising yourself as a disciple of the Profound Blossom Sect, but you have killed one of our disciples in our sect, and I will have you bear the responsibility. But don't misunderstand my intentions as a way to protect Wang Ming. Even if Wang Ming wasn't a good man, he was still one of us. What do you think people will say about us if they learn that an outsider had managed to kill a Burning Lotus Sect disciple whilst inside their own sect, even leaving without any consequences? I hope you understand. Great Elder Han truly did not want to offend someone like Su Yang if he didn't have to, especially when they know literally nothing of his background. But in order to uphold their public images, so others won't see them as some pushovers, as having a weak presence would only lead to one's downfall in the cultivation world, leaving him no choice but to punish Su Yang for killing one of their disciples. You say that you want to punish me for killing Wang Ming, but what do you plan on doing to me exactly? Su Yang spoke in a calm voice, his face still as nonchalant as ever. It was almost as though he couldn't feel even the slightest of pressure from his current situation, and Great Elder Han could even feel the confidence that was in his aura. Is he really unfazed even when surrounded by an entire sect when he's only a single person, or is he only pretending to be confident? Great Elder Han pondered inwardly. If Su Yang is able to remain calm even in such a situation, then perhaps his background might have something to do with it. I won't ask for much, Great Elder Han said a moment later with a serious expression, and pointed at Su Yang's right hand, just that you leave behind one of your arms. One of my limbs, huh? Su Yang raised his right hand and looked at it as though he was trying to find value in it. He continued to speak a few seconds later. I don't mind leaving an arm behind, but will you be able to bear the consequences? It might cost your entire sect, you know. How dare you? The surrounding sect elders expressed anger when they heard Su Yang's mocking words. How could one of his arms be worth their entire sect that has thousands of years of history? Shut up. I will be the only one speaking here. Great Elder Han shouted at the sect elders, causing them to instantly shut their mouths. After silencing his own sect elders, Great Elder Han returned to looking at Su Yang with a frown. He tried reading Su Yang's facial expressions and the light in his eyes, hoping to find even the slightest of signs that he was bluffing. But alas, he was unable to find even a shred of bluffing in Su Yang, only confidence. "Can you tell me your background? I might be able to lessen your punishment," he said to Su Yang, trying not to sound awkward. He didn't want to accidentally offend a power that far exceeded that of their Burning Lotus sect. After all, what is the point of trying to defend their public images when they have to risk their entire sect's safety by doing so? Su Yang pointed to the green robes on his body and said with a calm smile, "This is my identity." The frown on Great Elder Han deepened, thinking that Su Yang was treating him like he was a fool. "Although you may be at the peak of the Earth Spirit realm, you are also currently surrounded by hundreds of experts in the heart of the Burning Lotus sect. And with this many people, if we don't want you to leave at all, then not even a single strand of your hair will be able to leave this place today. So why don't you think about your answer again? I will give you a few seconds." In Great Elder Han's head, no matter how powerful Su Yang's background may be, if he doesn't return to tell them and the Burning Lotus sect denies all allegations, then that powerful background will not be able to attack them and avenge Su Yang without making themselves look like a bunch of savage barbarians without reason. Is that so? Su Yang narrowed his eyes and spoke in a slow pace. "That theory, do you want to test it out?" Suddenly, a fearsome power exploded out of Su Yang's body, causing a tyrannical pressure to erupt around him, and many sect elders and disciples there fall to their knees. Great Elder Han's face instantly paled, even unconsciously taking a few steps back due to the insane pressure that surrounded Su Yang. I impossible. This pressure, it's far more powerful than the sect leader. How could he release that much power when he's not even at the heavenly spirit realm? While you may be at the heavenly spirit realm, your foundation is weak, so weak, in fact, that I can break it with 2 fingers, like snapping a tree branch in half," Su Yang said as he approached Great Elder Han, who was trembling at the feeling of his pressure. Great Elder Han couldn't comprehend the situation. How could he be pressured by someone at the Earth Spirit realm? The difference between the 9th level of the Earth Spirit realm and the 1st level of the Heavenly Spirit realm is like comparing a chicken and a phoenix. It was simply unthinkable for Su Yang, who was the chicken, to threaten a phoenix such as Great Elder Han. Protect the Great Elder," one of the sect elders suddenly shouted. In the next few seconds, many figures could be seen jumping towards Su Yang despite the pressure on their body. In their eyes, even if they have to risk their lives, they have to protect their great elder, who was only below the sect leader in terms of status and influence. Su Yang's eyes flickered with a profound light, and he began throwing normal punches towards the incoming figures. However, because of his tempered physique, Su Yang's normal punches that were executed without any technique struck harder than any techniques these disciples and sect elders have experienced, feeling as though they were crashing against a mountain. Within seconds, countless figures could be seen flying in every direction after being struck by Su Yang, resembling the scene of a frustrated child tossing his toys around the room from frustration after being grounded. Good heavens! What kind of monster did I provoke? Great Elder Han could feel the strength in his legs disappear from watching Su Yang toss his disciples around the place, treating them as though they were mere ragdolls. Chapter 208 Chaos within the Burning Lotus Sect. Chaos occurred within the Burning Lotus Sect, as Su Yang single-handedly faced off against hundreds of experts, sending figures flying across the place while disregarding their cultivation. From core disciples at the true spirit realm to sect elders at the earth spirit realm, Su Yang showed no mercy and struck them with equal force, treating all of them as though they were dummies for training. Extended Burning Lotus Palm Strike, Burning Cauldron, 100 Lotus Rain, Dozens of techniques were released and aimed at Su Yang, who was busy fending himself from the other disciples. Boom! A large explosion occurred at where Su Yang stood, and smoke filled the sky above the burning Lotus sect, causing many other disciples and sect elders within the sect to think that they were being attacked. The explosion caused the ground to tremble, and just as the disciples believed Su Yang to be dead from that vicious strike, a loud voice filled the area with laughter. Ha ha ha! What's wrong, burning Lotus sect? Is this all you've got? Su Yang jumped out of the cloud of smoke while laughing, looking completely unharmed by the collective techniques used on him just now. What the fuck? There's not even a scar on his body. The people there gasped in shock when they noticed Su Yang's healthy body despite taking the hit directly. What could have easily killed a heavenly spirit realm expert wasn't even able to damage the robes on Su Yang's body, much less kill him. And he was even laughing after the fact, seemingly enjoying this chaotic scene. Fuck, that bastard is a monster. Don't hold back. Throw everything you have at him. Many more techniques were thrown at Su Yang, but Su Yang simply waved his sleeves and redirected the techniques in another direction, causing friendly fire amongst them. Stop. Stop using techniques. We are only hurting ourselves. The people there quickly realized that techniques were futile against Su Yang and began charging at him with weapons instead. Spiritual treasures appeared in every direction, causing a profound feeling to fill the atmosphere there. However, even after seeing all these spiritual treasures, Su Yang did not retrieve his own and continued to fight them with just his bare fists. Ting, ding, clang. My spirit sword. He broke my spirit sword with just his bare hands. Ah, my baby. He smashed it to pieces with a single fist. The people there felt true terror for the first time when they realized that not even spiritual treasure was able to injure Su Yang. They all felt as though they were fighting a beast. No, even beasts have their own weakness. Su Yang was akin to a mountain made of pure steel, something that no techniques or spiritual treasures could harm. As for Su Yang, he was treating this event as though he was in a brawl during a large party when everyone is already drunk. However, although he was striking without mercy, he didn't strike with the intention to kill. There would at most be some individuals with broken ribs and bones, but nobody there sustained any life-threatening injuries. It was Su Yang's way of mercy. If he really wanted to make enemies with the burning Lotus sect, he would have killed everybody there in a single strike with the Black Scorpion. Great Elder Han also noticed this, so he quickly shouted, "Stop! Stop! Stop! All of you stop! Halt your movements!" The disciples and sect elders immediately stopped attacking Su Yang and distanced themselves, even secretly thanking Great Elder Han for stopping them, as most of them, if not all, have long lost their motivation to fight Su Yang, even dreading him like he was their worst nightmare. Once they stopped attacking him, Su Yang stood there with calm composure and a smile on his face, looking like he just finished his stroll at the park. Meanwhile, Zhang Ying, who had been pushed to the back before all of this even began, stared at Su Yang with her eyes and mouth as wide as saucers. Like everybody else, she couldn't believe what she just witnessed. A single individual had managed to fend off nearly the entire Burning Lotus sect by himself and without even a single injury on his body. Nobody would believe this event unless they witnessed it with their very eyes. But even if they were here to see it, they will still doubt their eyes. That theory. Where I won't be able to leave if you didn't allow me. Do you still believe in it? Su Yang asked Great Elder Han with narrowed eyes, his hands clasped behind his back. Large beads of sweat appeared on Great Elder Han's face upon hearing his question, and under the gazes of the hundreds of disciples there, he reluctantly shook his head and said, "Please spare the Burning Lotus sect. This is all my fault, so I will bear all responsibility. Even if you want my life, I won't refuse." Great Elder Han lowered his body and bowed to Su Yang and spoke in a sincere voice. He didn't think that Su Yang would forgive their sect after everything that has happened, but even if Su Yang somehow forgives him and the sect, he will still regret offending someone like Su Yang for many years to come. After a moment of silence, Su Yang opened his mouth to speak, but before any words could even come out, another voice resounded in the area. What on earth happened here? A middle-aged man appeared from the distance alongside a young woman wearing core disciple robes. SS sect leader, senior apprentice Sister Lin. The sect leader of the Burning Lotus sect has decided to personally appear here after the grand commotion that shook the entire sect for many minutes. Beside him was Lin Xiaoxiang, one of the few core disciples that studied directly under the sect leader himself. Today was her turn to receive the sect leader's lecture, but because of the commotion, it was cut short, hence the annoyed expression on her elegant face. Chapter 209 Indisputable Dominance. The Burning Lotus sect's sect leader looked around the scene with a frown on his fierce face. Many of the disciples there were groaning in pain. Blood was all over the floor, and the entire place itself looked as though a large battle had just taken place. He then turned to look at Su Yang, who was still standing there with a calm expression with his gaze directly at him. The sect leader's eyes widened with surprise when he noticed Su Yang's cultivation base that was at the peak of the earth spirit realm. However, he was clearly wearing clothes meant for the disciples of the Profound Blossom Sect. And as far as he's aware, the sect leaders of the Profound Blossom Sect are only around the middle levels of the earth spirit realm. So where did this peak expert come from? Who are you? And are you cause of all this? The sect leader asked Su Yang in a calm yet dangerous voice. However, Great Elder Han stood before him and said, "Sect leader, this was all caused by this foolish old man." "What, you? Explain yourself." The sect leader's expression became filled with surprise upon hearing the Great Elder's words. How could someone as wise as Great Elder Han have caused all of this chaos? Great Elder Han felt hesitation to tell the sect leader the truth right now, as there was no doubt that another brawl would occur if someone as proud and fierce as the sect leader learns of Su Yang's actions against his disciples in his territory. "What's wrong, Great Elder Han? Why aren't you speaking?" The sect leader frowned when he remained silent for so long. "Sect leader, please wait. I will explain everything to you just." Great Elder Han turned to look at Su Yang with perplexed expressions. He wanted to explain the situation to the sect leader, but he didn't want to cause another one-sided brawl, perhaps a massacre this time, as he was certain that even the sect leader would not be his match. What's more, Su Yang has yet to say anything about Great Elder Han's proposal to spare the Burning Lotus sect by taking his life. Seeing Great Elder Han's gaze, Su Yang smiled and turned to look at Zhang Xiu Ying and said, "Xiu Ying, can you take me to the entrance? I don't recall its location." Su Yang never intended to take Great Elder Han's life. Hell, the only reason Su Yang decided to engage in the brawl was simply because he wanted to test his current strength, and the results were more than satisfying. "Hold it right there. Who said you can leave?" The sect leader immediately shouted at Su Yang, causing Great Elder Han's heart to expand with fright, who was thanking the heavens just seconds ago when Su Yang decided to leave them alone. Su Yang stopped walking and turned to look at the sect leader with narrowed eyes, his gaze filled with killing intent. "Are you going to stop me?" Su Yang spoke in a cold voice, and the killing intent in his eyes began spreading all over the place, causing everybody there to tremble with fear. Although the sect leader was shocked by Su Yang's dreadful killing intent, he stood his ground and began emitting his own pressure, looking like he was prepared to battle Su Yang. When Great Elder Han saw this scene, his entire body became soaked in cold sweat. "It's over. He's going to kill us all," Great Elder Han cried inwardly. He could already imagine the scene of their Burning Lotus sect actually burning to the ground. Su Yang turned to face the sect leader and retrieved the black scorpion from the storage ring, causing the atmosphere to turn deadly. almost like the air was poisoned by the mere presence of the black scorpion. The sect leader's expression greatly changed upon seeing the black scorpion, his complexion pale. He actually has a heaven-grade spiritual treasure. Who is this man? Although it was the sect leader's first time seeing a heaven-grade spiritual treasure, he could instantly tell its grade from the atmosphere-changing aura it was emitting, something even his earth-grade spiritual treasure cannot achieve. As for the other disciples and sect elders, they felt as though an invisible pressure was making it difficult for them to breathe after the black scorpion's appearance. After revealing the black scorpion, Su Yang began approaching the sect leader, his gaze still filled with killing intent. The sect leader began walking backward. He was clearly terrified of the pitch-black beauty in Su Yang's grasp that was emitting a deadly aura like it wanted to consume his life. Wait, let's talk about. Right as the sect leader opened his mouth, Su Yang used 9 astral step to appear right in front of him with the black scorpion, a millimeter from touching the sect leader's neck. The dagger is coated with poison that can kill even a heavenly spirit realm expert within seconds, and if you don't want me to accidentally kill you, I'd advise you to not move. The sect leader was so dumbfounded by Su Yang's speed that he had frozen in shock, and after hearing Su Yang's words, he didn't even dare to swallow, afraid that he would move the skin on his neck. After a few moments of silence that felt like many hours had passed for these disciples and sect elders, Su Yang retrieved the black scorpion from the sect leader's neck and casually turned around. I can easily kill everyone here and make this sect's name a reality, but I wouldn't want my little friend to become homeless, so consider yourselves lucky, Su Yang said to them as he looked at Zhang Ziying. Although Su Yang's words may have sounded straightforward, both the sect leader and great elder Han realized the true meaning behind his words, which was a warning to them that if they harm Zhang Ziying because of him, he will without a doubt kill them all and destroy their burning lotus sect. Su Yang then turned to look at Zhang Ziying and said with a smile on his face, "Never mind, Ziying. I can leave by myself." After saying those words, Su Yang retrieved the flying boat from the storage ring and jumped into it, before taking flight and soaring away at a speed that could only be described as lightning quick. Once Su Yang's figure disappeared from the burning lotus sect, everybody there slowly turned to look at Zhang Ziying with wide eyes, their gazes filled with both awe and fear. Chapter 210 Aftermath. Great Elder Han. You better have a good explanation for all of this. The sect leader yelled at him without any care for the surrounding disciples and great elder Han's face, his voice filled with anger. The disciples and sect elders sympathized with the sect leader's anger, as their hearts burned with frustration after experiencing the feeling of being powerless, and to a single entity at that. And you are coming with me as well. The sect leader then pointed to Zhang Ziying, who was still lost in her thoughts. The other disciples and sect elders all gazed at Zhang Ziying with a curious gaze. They were all wondering her relationship with Su Yang, and some of them even felt jealousy towards her. After all, who didn't want to have such a close connection with someone so powerful that even the entire burning lotus sect cannot stop him? What's more, because Zhang Ziying used to be a mere outer court disciple until very recently, pretty much everybody there haven't seen her face until today, much less know her name. The people there stared at Zhang Ziying's pretty face with wide eyes as she followed the sect leader with nervous steps, almost like they wanted to engrave her appearance into their mind, so that they don't offend her by accident in the future. Forget about the core disciples. Even the sect elders there would rather eat shit than to offend Su Yang after seeing his dominating presence and dreadful prowess that could threaten even an entire sect by himself. Once Zhang Ziying, great elder Han and the sect leader left the area and enclosed themselves in a private room, The sect leader began questioning Great Elder Han first. What the hell happened out there? Who was that monster? Great Elder Han sighed deeply and began explaining to him everything that happened before he'd arrived. That man, who's identified as Su Yang, apparently attacked Sect Elder Lao's disciple inside Lotus City along with 3 other inner court disciples. He also admitted being the culprit for Wang Ming's death, the inner court disciple whose ashes were found very recently within the inner court. W.A. Su Yang only attacked them because Zhang Ziying tried to defend Su Yang and his actions, but was interrupted by the sect leader. You will have your turn to explain later. The sect leader tried to remain a calm voice when speaking to her, almost as though he was afraid of scaring her after Su Yang's clear warnings. Elder Lao was the first one to encounter Su Yang, and during their exchange, Elder Lao decided to use the emergency talisman, summoning the rest of us. This is also when I arrived, and because his background is still in the mist after my exchange with him, I have decided to make him leave behind one of his arms as a punishment for killing one of our disciples. He refused, even mocking us, and everything after that was just plain chaos. Great Elder Han then explained to the sect leader about how both spiritual techniques and spiritual treasures were ineffective against Su Yang, and how he felt like they were fighting against an immovable mountain made of pure steel. That man, he's something straight from one's worst nightmares. Great Elder Han sighed, feeling like many years of his lifespan have been shaved away after the events today. The sect leader closed his eyes to ponder after listening to Great Elder Han's explanation. After many minutes of silence, the sect leader opened his eyes to look at Zhang Ziying and said, "Go ahead and introduce yourself to me before you begin." Zhang Ziying nodded and said, "This disciple is called Zhang Ziying. I was an outer court disciple until recently. At the Lotus City, Su Yang only attacked them because they were provoking him with nasty remarks, and that core disciple attacked Su Yang first. As for Wang Ming, because he would often abuse his status as an inner court disciple to force female outer court disciples to sleep with him, Su Yang killed him." The sect leader began pondering again, and after a few more minutes of silence, he spoke to Zhang Ziying. "Did Wang Ming pressure you?" He couldn't find any good reasons that could have led Su Yang to Wang Ming unless Zhang Ziying was the cause. Zhang Ziying nodded with a bitter expression and said, "Before his death, Wang Ming has been pressuring me to sleep with him." "How did you meet with that man named Su Yang?" the sect leader then asked her. "I met Su Yang at the Burning Lotus auction house during this year's opening," she said, purposefully avoiding the details, especially how she gave him her pure yin essence during that time. "The Burning Lotus auction house. Does Elder Wang also know about him?" he asked her. Zhang Ziying nodded. The sect leader was beginning to have a headache from all of this. How will Wang Xuren react once she learns the identity of her cousin's killer? It would be ideal for her and the Burning Lotus sect if she doesn't go after him for revenge. After pondering for many minutes, the sect leader said, "Great Elder Han, I want you to speak with Elder Wang about Su Yang, and if she wants revenge for her cousin, I want you to try and convince her to throw that thought away at all cost." And he continued, "As for today's events, just treat it as though it had never happened." "Excuse me." Great Elder Han looked at the sect leader with wide eyes. "You are more than welcome to go find him and hold him accountable for today," said the sect leader. Great Elder Han immediately shook his head. "As for the Profound Blossom Sect, they are clearly not a part of this, so there's no reason to cause trouble for them. And you, Disciple Zhang, I want to apologize for Wang Ming's actions, as it is a failure on my part as the sect leader. Starting today, I will ensure that there will be no more offenders like Wang Ming." Zhang Ziying immediately bowed and expressed her gratitude. "Thank you, sect leader." Although the sect leader may be prideful and arrogant, he is not stupid and without reason. He realized his mistakes and will be correcting them on the spot. As for the bitterness in his heart that was caused by his encounter with Su Yang, there's nothing he could do but to try and forget it. Aside from the non-threatening injuries sustained by some of his disciples, there wasn't any true damage done to the Burning Lotus sect, so he could ignore the events today to a certain extent. If anything, he was thankful to Su Yang for not killing any of his disciples when he clearly had the ability to. This is all for now. The sect leader dismissed Great Elder Han and Zhang Ziying. But before Zhang Ziying left, the sect leader said to her, "If you find any more disciples like Wang Ming, you can give me a visit and I will personally deal with it." Zhang Ziying nodded. This disciple understands. Once Zhang Ziying left the place, she stared at the clear sky with a dazed look, thinking about the extraordinary events that have happened in these last few days because of Su Yang. Meanwhile, Great Elder Han went directly to Wang Xuren's living quarters. Chapter 211 Commotion. At the Yin-Yang Pavilion, Wang Xuren, who was enjoying her new profound alchemy abilities inside the cauldron room by concocting pills, non-stop, suddenly felt the communication jade slip in his robes tremble. Although she was upset that someone had disturbed her peace, Wang Xuren checked the communication jade slip anyway, as only important individuals within the Burning Lotus sect may contact her. "Great Elder Han, what does that old man want from me? This is the first time she's ever gotten a message from him. Elder Wang, there are important matters to discuss. I will be waiting outside your living quarters for you." Great Elder Han's voice resounded from the communication jade slip. Important matters. Wang Xuren did not immediately head outside to meet him and continued to concoct her pills. Half an hour later, Wang Xuren closed the lid on the cauldron and left to clean herself before seeing Great Elder Han. Although Great Elder Han's status is only below that of the sect leader, far above any sect elders in terms of seniority, Wang Xuren couldn't care less and moved at her own pace without worrying about him, who was patiently waiting for her outside. In the Burning Lotus sect, Wang Xuren became somewhat of a special existence that did not belong in the sect's hierarchy, as she was the only one in the entire sect to know how to concoct 100% effective Burning Lotus pills, the Burning Lotus sect's trademark pill. The sect leader has tried many times to make Wang Xuren share the secrets to concocting the perfect Burning Lotus pill, but Wang Xuren would refuse adamantly each time, even going as far as to say that she'd leave the sect if he dares to pressure her. Losing Wang Xuren and her pills would be an incredible blow to the Burning Lotus sect, so the sect leader quickly gave up, allowing her to have something along the line of immunity within the sect. In other words, although Wang Xuren does not outrank the sect leader, she has more influence than him in certain aspects, something even Great Elder Han could only imagine. "Sorry for the wait, Great Elder Han. I was in the middle of a pill concoction." Wang Xuren casually greeted him at the door. "Elder Wang." Although Great Elder Han felt a bit annoyed inside his heart due to her lack of urgency, he remained a calm expression on his face. A few moments later, when they were both seated in the guest room, Wang Xuren asked him, "What is this important matter you have with me, Great Elder Han? Do you know of a man named Su Yang?" Great Elder Han went straight to the topic. "Su Yang." Wang Xuren instantly frowned. She definitely did not expect his name to come from Great Elder Han's mouth. Seeing her reaction, Great Elder Han could guess her answer and continued, "Although I do not know if you have any connection with him, we have learned that he was the individual who killed Wang Ming, your cousin." Wang Xuren's eyes widened in surprise. How did they find out? Did someone catch him in the act, or did he accidentally leave some clues behind? Is that all?" Wang Xuren returned to her calm composure a few seconds later. "Is that all, you say?" It was Great Elder Han's turn to be surprised. This is how she reacts to learning the name of her cousin's killer, completely indifferent and uncaring. It was almost like Wang Ming's death didn't matter to her in the slightest. "There's more," he continued. "The sect leader strongly urges you to not pursue him for revenge, as it might cause a plethora of troubles." Hearing his words, Wang Xuren coldly snorted in her head. She wouldn't go after Su Yang even if they threatened her to. "I understand," said Wang Xuren. You understand." Great Elder Han looked at her with a bewildered expression. "That's what I said, right?" Great Elder Han was speechless. He didn't think that Wang Xuren would agree so easily. It was almost like she has no intentions for revenge since the beginning. How bizarre for someone like her. "If that's all you have to say about this important matter, then I will return to concocting my pills," said Wang Xuren as she stood up from her seat. If you don't mind me asking, what kind of connection do you have with that man named Su Yang?" Great Elder Han stood up and asked her in a hasty manner. Wang Xuren looked at him in the eyes with a serious expression and said, "He's just a guest I met at the Burning Lotus auction house." Then how could you be so indifferent? He killed Wang Ming, your family, you know." Although Great Elder Han was supposed to prevent her from taking revenge, he couldn't help but want to know the answer even if it may make her avenge Wang Ming. "My family." Wang Xuren narrowed her eyes into a frown. "Just because we share the same surname does not make us family. You should be aware of his true character by now, a selfish and disgusting thing. Even if he's killed before my very eyes, I wouldn't think of avenging someone like him. If you want someone to avenge him, then you can go find his parents." Wang Xuren's voice was cold and filled with disgust, making it clear to Great Elder Han that she couldn't care less about Wang Ming's death, even feeling disgraceful for having the same surname as him. I understand." Great Elder Han was dumbfounded by Wang Xuren's cold appearance. He had underestimated Wang Xuren's personality. A few moments later, Great Elder Han left Wang Xuren's living quarters and reported back to the sect leader, who was also quite surprised by Wang Xuren's reaction. Anyway, I'm relieved to hear that she will not be chasing after that man named Su Yang for revenge." The sect leader sighed in relief. A few moments later, he continued, "Let's just ignore what happened today and return to focusing on the regional tournament." "The regional tournament, huh? I hear the princess of the Zai family will also be there for this event." "That's right." The sect leader nodded and said, "And that puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on the male disciples, as they all want to impress her." Great Elder Han laughed and said, "At least their motivation will be much higher when the time comes." The two of them continued to talk for a few more minutes to release some of the stress in them and forget about today's event before continuing on with their day. Meanwhile, Su Yang had just returned to the Profound Blossom Sect on the flying boat. However, as he descended from the sky, he noticed a commotion near the Yin-Yang Pavilion. There were unfamiliar figures walking in and out of the building, and they all wore clothing that is usually worn by doctors. Even weirder was how there were many sect elders standing outside the Yin-Yang Pavilion with anxious expressions on their face, giving the place a gloomy atmosphere, almost like someone was on the verge of death at that place. What is going on there? Su Yang decided to stop by the Yin-Yang Pavilion to see the commotion for himself, so he jumped off the flying boat and used 9 astral steps to navigate his way towards the Yin-Yang Pavilion unnoticed. Appearing right on top of the building a few moments later, Chapter 212, Act of Treachery. Once he was on the very top of the Yin-Yang Pavilion, Su Yang used his spiritual senses to see the situation inside the building. I have never seen a case like this before. There's no sign of her being sick or anything of that sort, and she seems to be sleeping in peace. Yet, the doctors in the room were perplexed by Liu Lanjai's unconscious state, as none of them have dealt with such a patient before. A few of the doctors have theorized that she was poisoned, but when they have looked at Liu Lanjai's blood and profound qi, There were no signs of her being poisoned. In fact, the results even showed Liu Lanjai being extremely healthy and without even the slightest sign of illness in her body. However, despite all of this, Liu Lanjai remained in a slumbering state for nearly 2 days now, which left even the best doctors there confounded. "Is there really nothing you can do to wake her up?" one of the sect elders there asked the doctors. The doctors exchanged glances with each other before looking at the sect elder with an apologetic expression and shook their heads. "Unfortunately, unless we find the cause for her slumber, there's nothing we can do as she's neither sick or poisoned." "That can't be." The sect elders in the room expressed disbelief, feeling despair from the situation. Without the sect leader, what will happen to the Profound Blossom Sect? Although they can always find a new matriarch if Liu Lanjai never wakes up and dies just in her slumber, the sect will still lack the secrets that only Liu Lanjai knows, such as secret techniques and hidden resources, which will significantly affect the entire sect's prowess and resource. A few moments later, whilst everyone was in deep thoughts, Su Yang jumped into the room through the open window, instantly alerting everybody there. "Who the hell are you?" However, once they noticed the robes he was wearing belonged to them, an inner court disciple, at that they relaxed a little bit. "What do you think you are doing here? Who gave you permission to come here?" The sect elders immediately began questioning him. Disciple Su Yang. One of the sect elders there recognized Su Yang's handsome face after looking at him for a few seconds. "You know him, Elder Wu." The sect elders there turned to look at the only old woman in the room, who turned out to be someone Su Yang met during his inner court assessment as an outer court disciple. "Somewhat," Elder Wu nodded. However, despite the commotion caused by his entrance, Su Yang ignored everybody there and walked to Liu Lanjai, who was sleeping soundly in her bed. "What do you think you are doing to the sect leader?" The sect elders went to stop him when he grabbed Liu Lanjai's hands. "Do you want her to wake up or what? Do me a favor and be quiet." What? The sect elders were dumbfounded by Su Yang's outrageous behavior as a mere disciple. "Although you are now an inner court disciple, there are still rules you have to abide," said Elder Wu with a frown. Then she continued, "And you sound as though you have the necessary means to wake the sect leader up." Su Yang did not instantly reply to Elder Wu and checked Liu Lanjai's pulse using his profound qi for a few seconds. A few moments later, Su Yang released Liu Lanjai's hands and said with a smile, "That's right." "What? Impossible. What can you do when we cannot even figure out why she's in that state?" The first ones in the room to disregard his words were not the sect elders but the doctors there instead. "You say that you can wake her up, but who are you anyway? Do you even any credentials as a doctor?" The doctors there did not believe that someone as young as Su Yang would have even half of their experience in terms of medical experience, much less be able to figure out the phenomenon happening to Liu Lanjai that have left all of them stumped after just checking her pulse. Su Yang glanced at the doctors and coldly snorted. "Such a simple problem, and none of you can figure it out. Are you all really doctors, or just dressing up and acting like one?" All of the doctors in that room felt an invisible hand slap them across their faces upon Su Yang's remarks. They have never been insulted in such a manner before, and their faces flushed red in anger. "Good. Since you think I am only dressing up as a doctor, then I shall take my leave." "Me too. Since you are capable of healing her, then there's no need for us to be here any longer." Angered by Su Yang's disgracing words, doctors left the room one by one. Wait a second. The sect elders there showed horrified expressions when the doctors began leaving. Without them, Liu Lanjai might never wake up again. Don't listen to that brat. There's no reason to be angry because of some rude remarks by some junior. The sect elders tried to stop them, but alas, the doctors left regardless. However, it was not entirely Su Yang's fault that they were leaving, as they believed that they would only be wasting time treating Liu Lanjai when none of them could figure out her problem. In other words, they used Su Yang as an excuse to excuse themselves from this room, as they did not want to continue losing credibility as a doctor by being unable to treat Liu Lanjai, and they even silently thanked Su Yang for this opportunity. And within mere seconds, less than 3 doctors remained in the room. All of the sect elders turned to stare at Su Yang with angry gazes after the doctors left. "Disciple, how will you bear responsibility for this? If the sect leader dies in her sleep, you will be sentenced to death for killing the sect leader, as your actions just now are no different than an act of treachery." Hearing that he'll be responsible for killing Liu Lanjiu for making the doctors leave, Su Yang merely shrugged his shoulders and said, "That's fine with me since she will wake up by tonight even if we do nothing." "What did you just say?" The sect elders looked at him with wide eyes filled with disbelief. Chapter 213, Waking Her Up. When Su Yang said that Liu Lanjai will wake up by herself by tonight, all the people in the room looked at him as though he was crazy. What did you just say?" Elder Wu wanted to make sure that she heard him correctly and asked. "The sect leader is neither ill or poisoned, just like the doctors had said." That being said, her conscience was forced to sleep by a mysterious and profound technique, hence why she is in such a deep slumber. Su Yang casually explained to them the cause of Liu Lanjai's condition. "What? A martial technique caused all of this?" The remaining 3 doctors there immediately began pondering after hearing Su Yang's words, and even the sect elders there became quiet. "This reason is actually quite reasonable," one of the doctors said a few moments later. "It would explain why the results came back negative when we tested her for illness and poison," said another. "Do you know what was the martial technique used on her?" One of the doctors turned to ask Su Yang. When the sect elders saw the doctors suddenly treated Su Yang as though he was one of them, their eyes widened with shock. Could he really have a profound medical background despite the odds? Su Yang shook his head and said, "Unfortunately, I do not know the technique behind her slumber." Despite his words, however, Su Yang knew very well the martial technique that was used to put Liu Lanjai into her state of slumber and even the person who did it. "Then how do you know that she will be awake by tonight even if we do nothing?" Elder Wu suddenly asked him. "Simple, by her profound qi, which is already showing signs of her awakening," Su Yang said. "What? Is this true?" Elder Wu turned to look at the doctors, but they only shook their heads. How are they supposed to know that when they don't even know such a method to read profound qi existed? Elder Wu turned to Su Yang and said, "If everything you said just now is the truth and the sect master wakes up tonight, then we will surely generously reward you for it. So there's is nothing we can do but wait even in the end, huh?" sighed the sect elders. "Wait, who said we have to wait for her to wake up?" Su Yang suddenly said. "What do you mean?" Elder Wu asked him with a puzzled frown. Su Yang did not immediately answer her and turned to face Liu Lanjai again. He suddenly raised his right hand into the air with his slender fingers spread and palm revealed, looking like he wanted to slap someone in the face. What do you think you are doing?" Elder Wu trembled in shock when she saw his posture. "What, you ask? I'm waking her up," Su Yang said in a nonchalant voice as he swung his hands towards Liu Lanjai's peaceful and beautiful face. "Stop!" Elder Wu and moved to stop him, but alas, she was a little bit too slow and a crisp sound of Liu Lanjai being slapped loudly resounded in the room. The doctors covered their mouth and gasped in shock whilst the sect elders trembled in anger. "How dare you!" Elder Wu raised her hand in rage and prepared to strike Su Yang. "NNNG." Just as Elder Wu moved, Liu Lanjai released a low moan, showing a reaction for the first time in the last 2 days, causing Elder Wu to instantly freeze her body and stare at the waking Liu Lanjai with wide eyes filled with shock. "Why does my face hurt?" Liu Lanjai slowly opened her eyes and rubbed her face in a sleepy manner, seemingly puzzled by the pain on her cheeks. Sect leader. Elder Wu's eyes filled itself with tears of joy and relief at the sight of Liu Lanjai waking up. Why are there so many people in my room? Once Liu Lanjai realized the situation, she sat on the bed and asked them. Sect leader, do you remember what happened to you? The sect elders asked her. Although she was puzzled, Liu Lanjai closed her eyes to ponder. However, she quickly realized that her memories were foggy and that all she could remember was herself heading towards Su Yang's living quarters to give him his punishment. I recall heading out to find a certain disciple, so why was I sleeping in my room? Liu Lanjai frowned and asked the sect elders. You see, Elder Wu began explaining everything to Liu Lanjai from the beginning. You were found slumbering in the middle of the outer court and was brought back to your room. What's more, you remained unresponsive no matter how much we tried to wake you up. We immediately went to gather the best doctors within the eastern region, but alas, all of them were left baffled by your condition. Liu Lanjai was shocked to learn that she'd been asleep for 2 days, especially her unresponsiveness when the others had tried to wake her up. Then how am I awake now? What did you do? She asked them. Elder Wu smiled bitterly and said, Well, disciple Su Yang over here, eh? Elder Wu stopped speaking when she realized that Su Yang had mysteriously disappeared from the room. When did he leave? And how did nobody there notice him leaving? Su Yang. What does Su Yang have to do with this? Liu Lanjai became more puzzled at the situation but also much more interested since Su Yang's name has been mentioned. Well, he's the one who woke you up from your slumber, Elder Wu said with a tone of hesitation in her voice. Su Yang did. Liu Lanjai's eyes brightened with delight and gratitude. How did he do it? Well, Elder Wu didn't want to give Su Yang a negative image right after making him into a hero, but alas, he slapped your face, she said in a low voice. He what? Liu Lanjai's eyes widened with shock, and her body began trembling from anger. Chapter 214 Sudden Departure. He actually had the audacity to slap my beautiful face. Liu Lanjai couldn't believe Su Yang's boldness, and all the gratitude she had for him for waking her up quickly disappeared. I am going to give him a piece of my mind. Liu Lanjai got off the bed and began approaching the exit. However, Elder Wu blocked her path and said in a worried voice, Sect leader, you just woke up. Although you may feel fine, we still have to be certain that you are absolutely healthy. This incident has caused more than just a few individuals to be worried. Liu Lanjai sighed and nodded. Okay, and give me more details on what exactly happened while you're at it. Elder Wu nodded and turned to the remaining doctors in the room and said, Please do a few more tests to make sure that her body is completely fine. We will surely compensate you generously for your efforts. The doctors had no reason to refuse and began their examination on Liu Lanjai again. Meanwhile, Su Yang returned to his living quarters to look for Keiyu after leaving the Yin-Yang pavilion. Ever since he saw Liu Lanjai's condition, he knew that Keiyu was the one responsible for her deep slumber, as it's a martial technique unique to the sacred Moon Palace. That being said, Keiyu drastically held back on the technique, or else Liu Lanjai wouldn't have woken up even in 10 years. However, upon entering his room, Su Yang did not find Keiyu sitting there like usual, but a piece of paper with contents in her handwriting instead. Since you are now clearly strong enough to easily protect yourself in this world, I will leave you alone for a bit to resume my journey on finding a way for us to return home. Although I doubt you will be needing them, I have left a few things behind for emergencies, including a communication jade slip if you ever feel like hearing my voice. Su Yang only shook his head at Keiyu's letter. Although he did not object to her actions, it was a bit too sudden. That girl, why does she want to return to the divine heavens that desperately when the sacred Moon Palace will certainly be looking for her? He also wanted to return as soon as possible, but he knew that there were things he had to prepare before returning, or else they would only be courting death. Su Yang then sat down on the bed and closed his eyes. A few minutes later, a golden glow could be seen radiating around his figure, almost like he just received enlightenment. Su Yang stayed like this for many minutes until he suddenly opened his eyes, where within shone a profound brilliance and memories began flowing inside his head. However, these memories were not from his time at the four divine heavens. Instead, they were memories of the Su Yang before his memories from the past life returned. Ever since he learned that there resided only one soul within his body after consuming the soul divination pill, Su Yang became intrigued by why his memories were sealed in the first place, and how someone like Su Zun, his father, was able to seal his memories. After all, if he reincarnated with the memories of his previous life, there was no way someone like Su Zun would have been able to seal his memories. In other words, Su Yang did not reincarnate with his memories intact at first, and only managed to regain them at the Profound Blossom Sect. Su Yang closed his eyes again, and would not open them again for many minutes, and 16 years of memories that was only a drop of water in his vast ocean of memories flowed through his head. From the day he was born to the day he arrived at the Profound Blossom Sect, everything became clear to Su Yang within minutes. A few minutes later, Su Yang opened his eyes, and on his face was a bitter smile. No wonder why he sealed my memories and tossed me in the Profound Blossom Sect. He couldn't help but laugh out loud. He found the memories of the ignorant Su Yang extremely entertaining. He was definitely a younger version of himself, but without the knowledge as an immortal. Once he forcibly removed the seal on his memories and regained his memories as a young mortal, Su Yang turned to look at the leather bag beside him. It was something Keiyu had left behind for him. He grabbed it and immediately began searching through its contents. This is... Su Yang was slightly startled by the sheer amount of cultivation resources inside the bag. What's more, these cultivation resources all contained extremely powerful Yang Qi, with some even surpassing the pure Yang flower by many miles. By giving me these resources, is she telling me to go all out while she's away? With the number of resources Keiyu had left behind for him, Su Yang would have no problem cultivating for many months without rest and still have leftovers. After seeing all the contents in the storage pouch, Su Yang poured all of them onto the bed to organize them. He intended to use them and cultivate until the regional tournament. I will break through the Earth Spirit Realm and enter the Heavenly Spirit Realm with no problem before the tournament, even if my partners are all at the Profound Spirit Realm and True Spirit Realm. However, before he could even start cultivating, he would need to have partners. And fortunately for him, there are plenty of beauties in the Profound Blossom Sect for him to choose. What's more, there are already disciples patiently waiting for him to call for them. Su Yang went to clean himself and even changed into a new pair of robes before he left the house to search for potential partners for the next few months. And the first place that appeared in his mind was the medicine hall, where he promised a certain group that he'd give them another rubbing session. Thank you for listening to the story on KevinAudio.com, Chapter 215, More Than Just Massages, Senior Apprentice Brother Su. One of the disciples at the medicine hall immediately stopped whatever she was doing when she noticed his figure enter the building and greeted him with a face full of smiles. And when Su Yang was mentioned, like a bunch of children hearing that there will be free candy, the disciples in the building stopped working to look at the male figure by the entrance. Did somebody just say Senior Apprentice Brother Su? Senior Apprentice Brother Su. Senior Apprentice Brother Su is here. When the medicine hall disciples saw Su Yang's handsome face, they all ran to greet him with excited smiles, as it feels like forever since they last saw him. Wow, Senior Apprentice Brother Su, did you have another breakthrough? I can feel it in your aura. Su Yang smiled and nodded. It's not much, but yes, I had a slight breakthrough. Disciples congratulated him without thinking too much about it. Where have you been, senior apprentice brother Su? We have tried looking for you on a few occasions, but you were always away. I was out on a mission, he replied. Is that so anyway? What brings you here today? Are you here to look for Master again? One of them asked. Not quite. What do you mean by that? I'm here to fulfill the promise I made during my last visit, he said with a smile. Promise. The disciples exchanged glances. None of them could recall this promise at first. Why, you don't mean that? One of the girls suddenly remembered his promise and mumbled in a trembling voice, her eyes filled with surprise. That, what are you talking about? The others looked at her and asked. However, the female disciple did not say anything and continued to stare at Su Yang, patiently waiting for his answer. Su Yang smiled and said, If you are not busy, come to my living quarters for some massage. Once Su Yang said those words, everybody there immediately remembered what he said the last time he was at the medicine hall. The disciples stared at him with wide eyes, seemingly in disbelief. Why, you are accepting customers again? One of them asked with a trembling voice. When Su Yang nodded, the place suddenly erupted with excitement, almost like there was a grand celebration for a grand occasion. After all of these girls were greatly disappointed when Su Yang stopped accepting customers for his massage and have been waiting for him to resume business. This is great news. I will immediately let my friends know. Ah, I cannot wait for work to be over today. Senior apprentice brother Su, I will be seeing you later today. Ever since these disciples experienced Su Yang's massage techniques, their body has been craving for more of his techniques. And it's not just the disciples at the medicine hall. All of Su Yang's customers have been waiting for this day. However, Su Yang was not finished speaking and continued. What's more, I will be doing more than just massages, and it will all be free of charge. When Su Yang broke this news, the girls stopped celebrating, and they all stared at him with wide eyes filled with shock. They were so dumbfounded by this news that they didn't know how to react. By that, do you mean? Su Yang merely smiled and did not say a word, yet the girl immediately understood the meaning behind his words, and they began screaming with excitement in their hearts. That's all I came here to say. I will be waiting for you. After saying those words, Su Yang casually left the medicine hall. The girls did not stop him because they were all frozen from bewilderment. However, before leaving, he also said to them, Oh, right. I nearly forgot, but tell Elder Lan to come find me when she is free. I have something special for her. Once Su Yang was gone and the girls woke up from their daze, the medicine hall erupted with another round of celebration, as the girls were unable to tame their excitement. Although they have their suspicions, their minds went crazy with imaginations, and their bodies trembled with passion, especially the lower part of their bodies. The noises within the medicine hall was so loud that it forced Lan Liking to stop her work and head downstairs to see what the commotion was all about. What on earth are you all screaming about? I can't get anything done with all of this commotion, Lan Liking shouted at the girls the moment she appeared. Master, the disciples stopped celebrating to greet Lan Liking. Why, you see, senior apprentice brother Su just stopped by. What, Su Yang is back? Lan Liking hastily asked. Her disciples nodded, but he just left. Lan Liking instantly frowned. And he didn't even bother to speak with me before leaving, she cried inwardly. She was disappointed by the fact that Su Yang had left the medicine hall without even trying to look for her. It was almost like he forgot about her. However, just as Lan Liking felt like cursing at Su Yang, her disciples said, Master, senior apprentice brother also left behind a message for you right before he left. He did. What did he say? Senior apprentice brother Su said that he has something special for you and asked you to go see him. He has something special for me. Lan Liking stood there with a slightly dumbfounded expression. She would be lying if she says that she's not surprised. Did he say what that special thing is? she then asked. The girls shook their heads. He didn't say anything else and left after that message. I understand. After a few moments of awkward silence, Lan Liking said to the girls, "Anyway, I have to go to a meeting. Let them know if anyone comes looking for me." The girls nodded and immediately went back to working at a pace that was much faster than previously. They all wanted to finish their work and go to Su Yang for his service as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Lan Liking sneakily approached Su Yang's living quarters with an anticipated expression. Chapter 216, teasing her body after lying to her disciples about going to a meeting. Lan Liking headed straight to Su Yang's living quarters, as she simply couldn't wait to see what he planned to give her. Once she reached his living quarters, Lan Liking knocked on the doors and waited for Su Yang, her heart pounding in anticipation, as it feels like it's been forever since she last saw his face. "You have arrived faster than I'd expected. Did you miss me that much?" Su Yang greeted her with a slight tease. "HMPH." Lan Liking coldly snorted and said, "Is that all you have to say after leaving the medicine hall without so much as seeing my face?" Su Yang smiled and said, "If we meet at the medicine hall, I wouldn't be able to leave as quickly, as you would have surely extracted my yang qi before allowing me to leave." Lan Liking's face flushed red upon hearing his words. I am not that desperate." Despite her words, deep in her heart, she was aware that Su Yang's words were not exactly impossible, hence why her face flushed red. Indeed, her face reddened because she was feeling ashamed of her lustful desire for him and not because of Su Yang's words. "Anyway, because you arrived way earlier than expected, I still have some preparations to do. If you can, go ahead and wait for me in my room." Lan Liking nodded and went inside the house. While Lan Liking waited in his room, Su Yang went to finish his preparations. For it to require preparations, this special thing must indeed be pretty special. Lan Liking could barely sit still while waiting for Su Yang, as both her body and mind could not stay calm when Su Yang's being this mysterious. But alas, no matter how much she's pondered, nothing definite came to her mind. Sometime later, Su Yang entered the room with a casual expression. Are you done?" Lan Liking asked him in a nervous voice. Su Yang nodded and then he spoke. "Go ahead and undress, take everything off." Wait, what?" Lan Liking looked at him with a dumbfounded face. "Why does she have to undress for this special thing? I am about to give you a massage," Su Yang then said. Although Lan Liking was pleasantly surprised, even excited for the massage, she couldn't help but ask, "What about this special thing you wanted to give me? It couldn't just be this massage, right?" "You will understand once we start." Lan Liking looked at him with suspicious eyes, but she began undressing regardless. "If I had known that I will be naked, I would have taken a bath before coming here," she thought to herself. A few moments later, Lan Liking stood there with her arms covering her perfectly round breasts and little sister that was already dripping wet in a shy manner. Although Su Yang has already seen every inch of her body, for some unknown reason, she couldn't help but feel embarrassed at this moment. Once Lan Liking was fully naked, Su Yang said, "Go ahead and lie on the bed like the first time." Lan Liking nodded and laid on the bed with her beautiful buttocks completely bare for him. A few seconds after she laid on the bed, Lan Liking suddenly felt something warm and slimy pour on her back, causing her to release a surprised cry. What are you doing, Su Yang?" she asked him. Su Yang smiled and said, "I'm pouring oil on your back, one specially made from many types of medicine and herbs." As he explained to her, Su Yang began rubbing the oily substance all over her back. I have never felt anything like this before. What does it do exactly?" Lan Liking was quite excited and interested in this new experience. "It will not only enhance your yin qi, but it will also make your body more sensitive, allowing you to feel even more pleasure." Even more pleasure. Lan Liking became a little bit scared upon hearing that. afraid that she might really lose her mind if she experiences more pleasure than what is already mind-boggling. "Don't worry, I won't go overboard," Su Yang told her, almost as though he could read her mind. If you say so." Lan Liking slowly closed her eyes and indulged herself in Su Yang's heavenly techniques. Muti. This is. After just a few moments of experiencing Su Yang's heavenly technique, Lan Liking could already feel the difference in this massage session when compared to the previous times. Not only did the oil on her body enhance her pleasure, but Su Yang was also much bolder with his hands when touching her body, massaging places like her plentiful buttocks. "Yes, Lan Likin's body trembling with pleasure every time Su Yang moved his slender fingers across her slippery back, especially when Su Yang massaged the areas near her butt, and a river of aroused juice flowed from Lan Liking's wet cave. After massaging her back for a few minutes, Su Yang said to her, "Turn around." Lan Liking did not say anything and turned her body around, revealing to Su Yang her scrumptious breasts and pretty little sister. Once she turned around, Su Yang poured even more of his special oil on her body, covering her entire body in this oil. A few seconds later, he began spreading the oil all over her chest, even teasing her erected pink nipples with his fingers in the process. Lan Liking's eyes teared up slightly from embarrassment when Su Yang played with her nipples, and she quickly turned her head away from Su Yang so he wouldn't see her flustered expression. When he finished covering Lan Liking's chest in oil, he moved his hands towards her stomach, eventually reaching for her little sister that was soaking wet with two different types of substances. Oh, yes, Mum. The feeling of pleasure was so intense that Lan Liking had already reached the climax before Su Yang even reached her cave. So the moment Su Yang's slender finger touched her pink cave, it sprayed uncontrollably, filling the air with Yin Qi Chapter 217. Go ahead, stick it inside me, ha. Ha ha. Lan Liking took heavily breaths after her climax. But alas, Lan Liking was only able to take a few breaths before Su Yang began rubbing her cave with his fingers that were soaked in the special oil. Tilde. Lan Liking released beastly moans as Su Yang massaged her cave, causing her body to tremble in delight. Su Yang rubbed her around her cave, teased her little pink jewel, and massaged inside her wet garden with his fingers, sending endless jolts of pleasure through Lan Liking's hot body. Lan Liking felt like she was being electrocuted endlessly, but instead of pain, her body was overwhelmed with pleasure that also awakened the lustful beast inside her heart. A few minutes later, after Lan Liking had several sexual climaxes, Su Yang pulled his hand away from her twitching body. He looked at her overly satisfied face and spoke with a smile. "What do you think of the oil? It feels much better than a massage without it, right? Are you trying to kill me, Su Yang?" Lan Liking managed to squeeze out a few words after taking a moment to catch her breath. Su Yang chuckled and said, "If you think that's bad, then you should experience what it feels like when I use even higher quality oil. Why, you have something even stronger than what you are already using." Lan Liking couldn't imagine what it would feel like if her body were to become any more sensitive to pleasure. However, that being said, she'd be lying if she said that she didn't want to try it, even if she's afraid of the results. "Of course I do. In fact, the oil I am currently using is the weakest of its kind." The weakest. Lan Liking was truly baffled upon learning this fact. "Anyway, let's continue," Su Yang suddenly said. "What? We are still not done, but I am already exhausted." Lan Liking looked at him with wide eyes. Su Yang replied with a smile on his face as he began undressing his robes. Lan Liking could immediately see the meaning behind his actions, and as though it was magic, all the exhaustion in her body disappeared the moment her eyes saw Su Yang's stiff rod pointing towards the heavens. "It's been a while since we last cultivated together, so let's take this chance to catch up," he said to her in a gentle voice, following with a soft kiss her on the lips afterward. After receiving his kiss, Lan Liking looked at Su Yang with a lustful gaze, and she reached for his hard rod with her hands. A few moments later, after playing with it a bit, she shoved the rod into her mouth and began thrusting her head, giving Su Yang a passionate blowjob. Many minutes later, when Lan Liking was satisfied with the sweet taste of Su Yang's thick rod and Yang Qi, Su Yang went on the bed with her. However, before piercing her hole, Su Yang retrieved more of his special oil. Though unlike before, he did not pour it directly on Lan Liking's body. Instead, he poured the oil all over his thick rod until it covered every inch, making it look like a delicious treat that was coated in a sweet substance. Lan Liking stared without blinking at Su Yang's thick rod that was dripping wet with the oil, seemingly mesmerized by its look and powerful presence. Taking a deep breath, Lan Liking spoke in an urging voice, "Go ahead, stick it inside me." Upon hearing Lan Liking's alluring voice and seeing her begging expression, Su Yang shoved his thick rod deep into her yearning body with a single push. Ah! Once Su Yang began thrusting his thick rod inside her body, Lan Liking released a phoenix-like cry that shook the air in the room. The combination of Su Yang's heavenly technique and the special oil that enhanced her feeling of pleasure was simply too divine, and Lan Liking felt like she had transcended to heaven from the pleasure during the moments it lasted. Because the sensation was too intense for someone like Lan Liking, she was only able to endure it for a few more minutes before Su Yang decided to finish it off by injecting her body with a load of his exclusive Yang Qi that was rich with nourishments and profound Qi. "You can wash the oil away when you can move," said Su Yang. However, Lan Liking rejected that suggestion and instead said, "I want you to wash my body." Su Yang looked at her with raised eyebrows. "You want me to wash you? I might tease your body instead," he chuckled. That's fine with me, as long as you clean my body afterward." Lan Liking obviously hesitated for a moment there. Su Yang did not say anything else and carried Lan Liking to the bathroom, as she was too exhausted to even move her own limbs. Inside the bathroom, Su Yang laid Lan Liking's naked back on his chest and poured water over her body. After that, he used soap that was created from a type of medical herb to wash her body. Su Yang cleaned Lan Liking's body properly without teasing her, which surprised Lan Liking, who had prepared her heart, even looking forward to his teasing. However, just as Lan Liking relaxed her body, Su Yang began cleaning her little sister down there, which easily stimulated the lust in her body again, causing it to leak again. Ah! Lan Liking couldn't help but begin moaning in the bathroom as Su Yang washed her. And although Su Yang did not purposefully invoke her lust, he found this situation to be quite funny. After all, if she keeps releasing her fluid down there, she will never be clean no matter how much he cleans that spot. Thus, Su Yang decided to leave that spot alone after rubbing it for a few moments and move on to the next area. Once he washed every spot on her jade-like skin, Su Yang poured water on her body to wash the soap away, before laying her body into the bathtub that is always filled with clean, warm water due to a spiritual formation. After all that, he quickly cleaned himself and went into the bathtub to join Lan Liking, as it was large enough to fit adults and still have room to spare. Chapter 218. The group of beauties returns for more. The atmosphere inside the bathroom was extremely peaceful and quiet, and Lan Liking, who has her head resting on Su Yang's shoulder at this moment, was feeling especially relaxed and secured, something she has never experienced before. It was a dream-like situation, and Lan Liking wanted this moment to last an eternity. "Su Yang," she suddenly spoke, "when are you going to become a core disciple? I won't have to be secretive about my relationship with you anymore if you become one." After all, in order to keep their intimate relationship as sect elder and disciple a secret so they don't get punished by the sect, She had to lie to her own disciples in order to meet with him, something she couldn't do without feeling guilty about. You are still worrying about something like that, Su Yang shook his head. If anyone has a problem, they can find me. You don't understand, Su Yang. It's not something as insignificant as just a problem. Despite the nature of this sect, it is highly prohibited for sect elders and disciples to dual cultivate. If our relationship is revealed, we can be considered lucky if the sect cripples our cultivation base before disowning us and, worst case, punish us with death. What if the sect leader dual cultivates with a disciple? Are there any rules on that? Su Yang casually asked. The sect master. That's unthinkable. Such an incident has never occurred since the Profound Blossom Sect's founding. If it happens, it will be more than just a scandal. Su Yang couldn't help but laugh inwardly, as history has already been made for the Profound Blossom Sect when he cultivated with Liu Lanjai during his inner court assessment. I don't understand why such a thing would be prohibited. It's not hurting anyone, and the disciples will benefit greatly if they cultivate with the sect elders, Su Yang sighed. I also do not understand it, but I have heard from the previous sect masters that such a rule did not exist in the earlier days. It was only after a certain incident that caused great chaos within the Profound Blossom Sect did they make such a rule. Is that so? Although Su Yang couldn't care less about this sect rule, Lan Liking seemed to be worried about it. Anyway, you shouldn't stress over something so insignificant. And even if it is revealed to the sect that we have dual cultivated, nothing will happen to the both of us, this I can guarantee you, he said to her with a confident smile on his face. If you say so. Although she could not fully stop worrying about it, she felt some weight lifted off her shoulders after seeing his confidence. It was almost like Su Yang could share his feelings to whoever was close by his side. After enjoying the bath for a few more minutes, Su Yang carried Lan Liking out of the bathtub to get her body dried, before putting her clothes back on her body. It was only after another half an hour did Lan Liking regain the strength to stand up without falling after a few seconds of standing. And once she could walk without stumbling every few steps many minutes later, Lan Liking bid farewell to Su Yang and returned to the medicine hall, where her disciples were still working at an incredible pace, which greatly dumbfounded Lan Liking when she saw the scene. When Lan Liking left, Su Yang retrieved a red pill from the storage pouch that was left behind by Qiyu and consumed it, before closing his eyes to cultivate. Although Lan Liking was only at the early stages of the earth spirit realm, because of the special oil that enhanced her yin qi and this red pill that is filled with yang qi, Su Yang was able to cultivate enough profound qi for him to take steps towards the heavenly spirit realm. And while the steps being taken are slow and weak, he is growing nevertheless. At this rate, he won't even need half a year to reach the heavenly spirit realm. While Su Yang cultivated in peace, the disciples at the medicine hall moved with haste in order to get their work for the day finished as soon as possible so that they could go see Su Yang, causing the place to be disoriented and chaotic. And when Lan Liking first saw this scene, she was baffled by their working pace, as she has never seen them work so hard in her many years with them. However, when Lan Liking asked one of the disciples why they were suddenly so motivated, and was told that Su Yang had reopened his little massage business, she was dumbfounded by the news. Su Yang will be accepting customers again. Lan Liking couldn't imagine what the chaos would be like once the female disciples learn of this news, as it was already hectic when Su Yang first opened his business. So all of you girls plan on visiting Su Yang after work today? She asked them with a weird expression on her face. That's right. We want to be the first ones to be in line. Hopefully senior apprentice brother Su only spoke with us about his reopening, or else we'd be in line for days before we could see him. Is that so? Lan Liking did not want to be too involved with their mess, as it could potentially lead to her secret with Su Yang accidentally being revealed. So she left them alone and went upstairs to her own room to cultivate the Yang Qi in her body. A few hours later, after the disciples at the medicine hall finished their work for the day, they all ran towards Su Yang's living quarters like a bunch of hungry beasts. When they reached Su Yang's living quarters and saw that there was not a single person in line, their eyes flickered with excitement, feeling exhilarated that they were the first ones to arrive. Senior apprentice brother Su, as promised, we are here. One of them knocked on the door. A few moments later, Su Yang opened the door. Come inside, he greeted them with a smile, and the girls happily entered the house without any hesitation. Chapter 219, What do you think of my body? Inside his house, 9 beauties lined up before Su Yang in an orderly fashion, resembling the scene of prostitutes waiting for the guest to pick on his favorite. However, instead of prostitutes, they were all outer court disciples from the medicine hall and also Lan Liking's disciples. What's more, they were one of Su Yang's earliest customers before he was a sensation amongst the outer court disciples, and they are here today to experience his heavenly techniques again. Who wants to be first? Su Yang suddenly asked them. You girls can discuss among yourselves. We have already agreed on the order, said one of the girls. Oh, Su Yang raised an eyebrow. We have decided before coming here that we will go in the exact same order as before, meaning I will go first, said Qian Jinglin, who was the first girl during their first visit to have experienced Su Yang's techniques. Su Yang nodded and said, That is fine with me. The place suddenly turned quiet. What's wrong? Su Yang asked them. What are the conditions this time? Qian Jinglin asked him, as there were conditions during their first visit that they had to follow before they could even receive his service. Oh, there are no conditions this time around, he casually said. What? There are no conditions? The 9 girls looked at him with wide eyes filled with shock. What about the time limit? How long will the massage last this time? One of them asked. Su Yang replied with a smile on his face. There are no time limits, so you can essentially stay here for hours without leaving, but all of you will be exhausted within minutes. That being said, I will make sure you all leave here satisfied, so you don't have to worry about me purposefully rushing the massage just to make you leave sooner. No time limits. 8 hours of massage. The girls began trembling from anticipation after listening to his new conditions, and they silently swore to themselves that they will not leave his bed even if they were to die from pleasure. Do you have any more questions for me before we start? Su Yang asked them. Qian Jinglin raised her hands and spoke. You mentioned that there will be more than just a massage. What did you mean by that exactly? The other girls inwardly praised Qian Jinglin for asking the question that has been stuck in their heads since they heard it. However, Su Yang merely smiled at the question and said, You will find out inside. The girls' anticipation soared through the roof and past the clouds at this point, and their imaginations ran wild wondering what Su Yang would do to them when they are alone. I am ready. Qian Jinglin no longer had any patience and approached Su Yang's room with large steps. In her mind, she was certain that all of her questions will be answered once they began, so there was no reason for her to linger any longer. Once she was inside his room, memories of her first visit rushed through her head, and her body instantly became aroused. Go ahead and lie down, Su Yang said to her after closing the door. Qian Jinglin nodded and laid on the bed like previously. A few moments later, Su Yang began massaging her back, causing tingly sensations to appear all over her body. This is it, yes. Qian Jinglin began moaning in pleasure. However, despite the pleasure, Qian Jinglin could not tell the difference between this session and her previous session. It was almost like nothing had changed at all. With that being said, Qian Jinglin did not mind it at all and continued to enjoy the heavenly massage. A few minutes later, Su Yang suddenly spoke. "Do you want this to continue, or do you want to try something new?" he asked her without stopping his massage. Something new. What might that be?" she asked, her interest immediately piqued. "I have a special oil with me that was created by mixing many rare herbs, and if you soak your skin with it, your experience will be greatly enhanced. Furthermore, it will cleanse the impurities in your yin qi to a certain extent and strengthen it." Are you serious?" Xuan Jinglin made a swallowing motion after hearing his words that sounded a little bit too good to be true. After all, only rare pills such as the Profound Yin pill have the ability to strengthen one's yin qi. Yet Su Yang was out here telling her that he has some kind of special oil that has the same effect as the Profound Yin pill, and he's willing to use it on her for free. However, Xuan Jinglin found it even harder to believe that Su Yang would have any intentions to harm her, so she nodded to his suggestion to use this special oil. "Also, in order to apply the special oil to your body, I will need you to remove your clothes," Su Yang said to her. Xuan Jinglin had long prepared her heart before arriving at this place just in case Su Yang wanted to give her more than just a massage, so she was not too surprised to see it actually happen, and removed her clothes without flustering. Su Yang looked at Xuan Jinglin's naked body with a calm expression. Although her proportions could not compare to Lan Liking's mature figure, her pale skin and slim body would make most normal men instantly lose control. What do you think of my body?" Xuan Jinglin asked him after seeing Su Yang stare at her body, her voice sounding bashful. "It's beautiful," he softly replied with a handsome smile on his face. Xuan Jinglin immediately blushed until her entire face was red. Is that so?" If Su Yang were to ask her to leave his current partner to be with him right this moment, she would definitely not hesitate to nod her head. "You can lie down again," he then said to her. Xuan Jinglin nodded and laid on the bed with the sound of her heart pounding like war drums, and a liquidy substance could be visibly seen leaking from the slit between her legs, looking like a pair of lips drooling due to hunger. Chapter 220. I want to cultivate with you. Su Yang poured the special oil on Xuan Jinglin's back and began massaging her. "Ah, this feels so good. I have never experienced anything like this before." Xuan Jinglin moaned loudly as the oil seeped into her pores, making her body much more sensitive to Su Yang's touch and strengthening her yin qi in the process. A few moments later, once Su Yang covered her back with oil, he moved his hands toward her buttocks and squeezed it tightly, squeezing a profound cry of pleasure out of Xuan Jinglin's mouth alongside some water out of her bottom lips. Su Yang then proceeded to massage her butt cheeks by pressing his fingers deep into the two mountain of meats before him, sending jolts of excitement through Xuan Jinglin's body. Once he was finished with her butt, Su Yang navigated his hands toward her slender legs, skillfully massaging her tender thighs while teasing her little sister every so often, which stimulated the lust in Xuan Jinglin's body even further. Within minutes, Xuan Jinglin was feeling exhausted from her constant spraying, yet Su Yang had only covered her back with oil, leaving the front still untouched. "What's wrong? Are you feeling exhausted already? Do you want me to stop here?" Su Yang asked her. No, I can handle more," Xuan Jinglin spoke with a clearly exhausted voice. There was no way she'd give up after experiencing something as divine as this oil massage, especially when her body is still burning with lust. In her mind, she decided to not leave this bed even Su Yang might steal her last breath with his godly hand techniques. "If you say so." Su Yang did not try to persuade her to leave and continued to massage the front of her body. "Ah, yes. Touch me more, Tilda." Xuan Jinglin grabbed the bedsheets tightly when Su Yang massaged her breasts, as she was afraid that she might instinctively hug him. However, once Su Yang began massaging her little sister, Xuan Jinglin lost control within seconds and began reaching for Su Yang's pelvis area with her trembling hands, her gaze filled with the desire to cultivate. "Senior apprentice brother Su, please. I want to cultivate with you," Xianxia asked him in a pleading tone, her gaze flickering with passion. Seeing her desperate expression, Su Yang smiled and said, "Are you sure? You won't be able to leave this room by yourself if we cultivate." Xianxia nodded with a determined face, thinking to herself that history will only be repeating itself. Su Yang did not say anything else and retrieved his thick rod from within his robes like it was a hidden weapon. This is senior apprentice brother's thing." Xianxia stared at Su Yang's powerful rod with a gawking expression. In her mind, she compared Su Yang's rod with her partner's, but the difference was akin to heaven and earth, with Su Yang's rod being former. Which bastard started the rumor that called him a cripple? Would a cripple have such a stiff-looking rod? Thinking back to the rumors, Xianxia couldn't help but curse that individual for misleading them, as it ruined the opportunity for many people to experience such a divine rod. "I will start moving now," Su Yang said to her. Xianxia forcefully swallowed her overflowing saliva and nodded. Su Yang slowly pushed his meaty rod into Xianxinglian's entrance, causing her wet lips to expand. "Ah!" Xianxinglian's body jerked uncontrollably at the intense feeling in her crotch as Su Yang's thick rod pierced her body. Su Yang's little brother was so big when it entered her body that Xianxinglian thought she'd experienced losing her virginity for the second time just now. It was an indescribable feeling that will forever change her view of dual cultivation. Once the tip of Su Yang's rod reached the end of Xianxinglian's tight tunnel, he began thrusting his hips, ferociously pounding her cave with his rod, overwhelming Xianxinglian's body and mind with pleasure. Meanwhile, the other 8 girls patiently waited in the outside room with nervous expressions. "How long do you think senior sister Xian will last?" one of them asked. "Knowing how she's the most experienced out of the 9 of us, she should be able to withstand at least half an hour without any problem, even if she's against someone like Su Yang." "Half an hour? I will not leave until I get at least 2 hours with him," the youngest amongst them spoke. "Ha ha ha, I will call you senior sister if you last even an hour inside," the other girls began laughing. "HMPH. Just you watch." In the midst of their laughter, the room to Su Yang's door suddenly opened. Su Yang walked out of the room with a calm expression and spoke, "I am ready to accept the next guest." "What? You are finished already?" The girls exchanged baffled looks with each other. "Forget about half an hour, it hasn't even been 15 minutes since Xianxinglian entered the room." What happened to never mind?" The girls released that there was no point in asking about Xianxinglian's condition, as they all knew very well what will happen to them after experiencing Su Yang's godly techniques. "I am next," Yu Yan, the youngest amongst them, stepped forward with a resolute expression. "Good luck trying to last 2 hours in there, junior sister Yu." Knowing very well that she wouldn't last that long, the girls cheered for Yu Yan in a teasing voice as she entered Su Yang's room. Once Yu Yan entered the room, she was shocked to see Xianxinglian sitting at the end of the room like last time, but with a perverted expression that shook her heart. Furthermore, her robes were barely on her body, almost like it had been taken off at one point, and she didn't bother to put it back on properly afterward. What on earth happened to her? Yu Yan was no longer feeling confident that she would be able to last 2 hours, especially after seeing Xianxinglian's appearance. "Junior sister," seeing Yu Yan enter the room, Xianxinglian stared at her with a malicious grin and spoke, "Give me a good show like last time." Yu Yan's jaw dropped to the floor upon hearing such words. She was simply speechless. Chapter 221, Multitasking in Bed. "Go ahead and lie on the bed with her back facing me," Su Yang instructed Yu Yan, who was feeling a bit terrified because of Xianxinglian's words. Yu Yang sighed and laid on the bed with her eyes closed, so she wouldn't have to see Xuan Jinglin glaring at her with eyes that looked as though they couldn't wait to be entertained. Once Yu Yan was on the bed, Su Yang began massaging her as usual. A few moments after the massage began, Yu Yan already forgot about Xuan Jinglin's presence and began indulging herself in the pleasure that drowned her body. Ah! NNNN. Xuan Jinglin watched Yu Yan moan in pleasure as her expression became filled with bliss and delight. If you think that feels good, just wait until you have a taste of his. Xuan Jinglin laughed in her heart and couldn't wait to see Yu Yan fall from grace like herself. For the next few minutes, Su Yang massaged Yu Yan normally without any tricks, which greatly puzzled Xuan Jinglin. Why isn't he bringing out the special oil? He should have brought it out by now, she pondered. And just as she had that thought, Su Yang spoke. Would you like to try something new? It's a special oil that if rubbed onto your body, it will enhance your sensation for pleasure and even increase the strength of your yin qi. Oil. Yu Yan looked at Su Yang and then to Xuan Jinglin, who was still glaring at her with a grin on her face. This must be what caused senior sister Xuan to be like that. If that's the case, there's no reason for me to refuse such an opportunity. Yu Yan thought to herself. I want to do it, she quickly answered. Su Yang nodded and said, Go ahead and remove your clothes. Yu Yan nodded and removed her clothes without any hesitation. And although she was aware that Xuan Jinglin was watching her, they have seen each other naked many times before, so this wasn't anything new for either one of them. Once she was naked, Yu Yan laid back on the bed and waited for Su Yang to do his thing. A few moments later, Su Yang poured a handful of oil on Yu Yan's back, causing her body to tremble in response. He then placed his hands on her smooth back and began spreading the oil all over her body. Oh! Yu Yan had underestimated the pleasure the oil could bring to her and released a loud cry of joy, one filled with intense satisfaction. Minutes later, when Su Yang began massaging her sensitive areas, Yu Yan began screaming in pleasure as her body constantly sprayed out water. Meanwhile, Xuan Jinglin watched the scenery with an entertained expression, almost like she was watching a play. Some moments later, when Yu Yin could no longer restrain her own sexual desires, she began aiming for Su Yang's pelvis area as Xuan Jinglin had before her. See, can I cultivate with you? Yu Yan asked him with a bashful expression, looking like she just confessed to her crush about her deep love for him. Su Yang did not say anything this time around and directly pulled out his already thick rod from within his robes and placed it before Yu Yan's face for her to see its spectacular appearance. Oh my God! Yu Yan gawked at the thick rod before her the moment Su Yang revealed it, looking as though she was looking at a priceless treasure. After she awakened from her daze a few moments later, Yu Yan wrapped her small hands around Su Yang's thick rod and started licking it in a manner that made it seem as though she was afraid to damage such a perfect treasure. Xuan Jinglin stared at Yu Yan's actions with her eyes as wide as saucers and jaw dropped to the ground. In her head, she was thinking to herself how she would no longer be able to see Yu Yan in the same light ever again after today. Please, I want it inside my body. Yu Yan suddenly said in a pleading voice. Su Yang nodded and laid her on the bed, grabbed her by the hips, aimed the tip of his rod right at her yearning entrance, and he began shoving his rod in and out of her wet hole. Ah tilde! Yu Yan released a sharp cry that caused Xuan Jinglin's heart to skip a beat when she first heard it. Xuan Jinglin covered her mouth with her hands and watched in silence as Su Yang dominated both Yu Yan's body and soul with his techniques and divine rod, and every moan that came out of Yu Yan's mouth would cause her body to tremble. Xuan Jinglin felt that she was not watching sexual intercourse right now, but an act of art instead, as every movement Su Yang executed was made with elegance and beauty. Yet there was a sense of dominance that surrounded his presence. And after watching the two cultivate for a few minutes, Xuan Jinglin became aroused herself and began playing with herself as she watched. However, when Su Yang saw this, he smiled and said to her, "I can handle you too if you want to join us." Xuan Jinglin was dumbfounded by his words at first and stared at him with a dazed look for a good minute before she quickly removed her clothes once again and joined them. Thus, Su Yang started massaging Xuan Jinglin, who was laying right beside Yu Yan, with his hands while he also massaged Yu Yan with his rod, satisfying both of the girls simultaneously and with ease, showing his talent and experience in multitasking. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, so good, ah. Suddenly, the room became much more livid with two beauties moaning beside each other with erotic expressions, causing the room to be filled with a euphoric atmosphere that could only be described as a dream for men. Chapter 222, Can I Call You Daddy? Wow, junior sister, you actually managed to last longer than senior sister Xuan. The remaining 7 girls shared their surprise in the living room, when Yu Yan remained inside the room for over half an hour. That being said, there was no way they could have known that Yu Yan only managed to last longer because Xuan Jinglin had taken some of her burdens by joining them. A few more minutes later, the door opened again, and Su Yang appeared before the 7 girls. I am next. Shang Wenji, the 3rd girl, approached him on her own accord. Su Yang nodded and went back into the room. When Shang Wenji entered the room and saw Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan sitting at the end of the room, she was hit by a strong sense of déjà vu, like she had been in this situation before. "Can the both of you leave? I want to be alone," Shang Wenji said to them, as she didn't want them to see any more of her embarrassing side like last time. Nope. However, Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan immediately refused her request, as they wanted to share the shame they had to endure. "No, I was not asking you. In the first place, it's weird for the two of you to be in here while I receive my massage. If you can't move by yourselves, then I will help you move." Shang Wenji was determined to make the two of them leave. Ha! Seeing how Shang Wenji had no intentions to let them watch her like last time, Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan reluctantly left the room while sighing with the help of Shang Wenji. Once they were kicked out of the room, Shang Wenji eagerly laid on the bed without needing Su Yang to say anything. Although she didn't show any indications, out of the 9 of them, Shang Wenji was the one who had anticipated this day the most, so much so that she parted with her partner just a few days after meeting Su Yang for the first time. Before we start, I have a request," Shang Wenji suddenly spoke with a hesitant expression. "What is it?" he asked. It may seem a bit weird, but can you allow me to call you Daddy? It will only last until I leave this room." Shang Wenji's face flushed red from embarrassment after speaking those words, feeling ashamed of her own fetish. Su Yang looked at her with raised eyebrows, clearly surprised by her unique request. However, being the gentleman that he is, Su Yang nodded with a smile on his face, agreeing to her unusual request. "If it makes you happy," he spoke in a calm voice. After sleeping with countless women from all kinds of backgrounds and status in his past life, Su Yang has had the opportunity to receive more than just a few weird requests from his partners, even learning of many fetishes that he wasn't aware of prior to meeting them. As for Shang Wenji's daddy fetish, Su Yang considered it to be one of the least bizarre fetishes out there. Shang Wenji's eyes brightened after getting Su Yang's approval. Although she didn't want to make that request at first, she had the feeling that Su Yang would not ridicule her for it. "Thank you, Daddy," Shang Wenji said with a beaming smile. Su Yang responded with a smile of his own, but he was wondering inwardly what Kyu might say about all of this if she were to witness their little role play. A few moments later, Su Yang finally began massaging Shang Wenji. Shang Wenji, who had been craving for this feeling ever since she first experienced it, moaned to her heart's content. and without anybody there to watch her, she did not feel the need to hold back on her desires. "Senior Apprentice Daddy, I want to cultivate with you." Shang Wenji loosened her robes before the massage ended, feeling the desire to cultivate with Su Yang before she even reached the oil massage. "Do you really?" Su Yang asked her with a teasing smile. Shang Wenji fully loosened her robes and allowed it to slip off her body, revealing to Su Yang her jade-like skin and erotic assets. "Look, because of you, it is soaking wet." Shang Wenji showed him her little sister that was dripping wet with love juice. "Ho, then why don't you allow me to bear responsibility?" Su Yang said as he retrieved his stiff rod. "Good Lord!" Shang Wenji covered her mouth from shock after seeing Su Yang's magnificent manhood for the first time. She did not think that something this terrifying could also appear so beautiful and majestic at the same time. It was the type of shocking discovery that could only be experienced once in a lifetime. After spending some time to admire Su Yang's little brother, Shang Wenji opened her legs widely to welcome Su Yang's little brother to meet with her little sister. However, before he pierced Shang Wenji's body, Su Yang retrieved his special oil and poured some of it onto his rod, as he wanted to benefit as much as he could from Shang Wenji's yin qi. "What is that?" Shang Wenji did not understand his actions and asked. "This is something I made that will strengthen your yin qi and make your body more sensitive to pleasure, allowing your body to feel even more satisfied." What a profound substance! How come I have never heard of something this wonderful? She wondered inwardly, feeling awed by all of the effects some mere oil could bring to the table. But for it to be able to strengthen one's yin qi, it must be as valuable as the profound yin pill, if not even rarer. Shang Wenji was slightly worried. Although she was overjoyed by Su Yang's thoughtfulness for willing to use something this precious on her, she felt guilty for making him use it on someone like her. After all, she was only an outer court disciple. However, almost as though he could read her thoughts, Su Yang said, "Don't worry, you are definitely worth it." "Senior Apprentice Brother Su." Shang Wenji forgot about her fetish for that moment and looked at him with adoring eyes. A few more moments later, once Su Yang's little brother was soaked in the special oil, he shoved it inside Shang Wenji's wet cave, causing her to scream loudly, "Oh, Daddy!" Chapter 223, There's no way he can handle all of us together. What did you experience inside the room? The girls asked Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan after they were kicked out of the room by Shang Wenji. "I think it'd be better if you experience it yourself without knowing beforehand," said Yu Yan, as she didn't want to ruin the surprise for them. At least give us a hint. My curiosity is killing me, Let's just say that compared to our first visit, it is at least 10 times more enjoyable. Xuan Jinglin said to them. 10 times more enjoyable, The girls stared at her with a shocked expression. If they nearly ascended to heaven during the last visit, wouldn't this truly die from pleasure this time around? Sometime later, the door opened again, and Su Yang appeared with a nonchalant expression. However, before the next girl could even step forward, Su Yang spoke. "I have a suggestion. A suggestion, in order to be efficient. Why don't I take on all of you at once, Su Yang said to them with a smile. He figured that since the last three have all requested for the same thing that he might as well take on all of them at once. This way, he would not only save time but also get to consume much more yin qi simultaneously. The girls stared at him with wide eyes. Besides Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan, they were all confused by the meaning behind his words. Senior Apprentice Brother, what do you mean by that? One of them decided to ask. What I mean is, I want to cultivate with all of you, Su Yang said with a calm expression, which dumbfounded the girls even more. Why you want to CC cultivate with all of us at once? The girls asked with a trembling voice. What shocked them the most was not the fact that Su Yang had just asked them to cultivate with him, but his request to cultivate with all of them at once. In their minds, they didn't believe that a single individual would survive if he had to satisfy so many women simultaneously, as his yang qi and stamina would simply be insufficient. That being said, it wasn't as though the girls did not want to cultivate with Su Yang, as he was incredibly charming and talented to the boot with his techniques. In fact, they would have asked him to cultivate with them at some point today or in the future. They were only worried that Su Yang might not be able to handle all of them at once, as they would surely suck away his yang qi until there is not even a single drop left, something that could damage his manhood and cultivation base. Senior apprentice brother, I would love to cultivate with you, but are you sure? In case you forgot, we are not your average ladies but disciples of the Profound Blossom Sect. That's right. I will gladly cultivate with you, but don't you think that you may be biting more than you can chew right now, We may only be outer court disciples, but we have a big appetite when it comes to yang qi, you know. Especially if the yang qi is coming from someone charming like senior apprentice brother. The girls reminded him that because they are disciples of the Profound Blossom Sect, their desire for yang qi and stamina far surpasses that of the average female. Perhaps Su Yang may be able to handle this many females at once if they did not dual cultivate as a lifestyle. But unfortunately for him, the girls before him are all seasoned experts with abnormal stamina when it comes to cultivation. Seeing the girls worry that he would not be able to handle all of them, Su Yang burst out laughing. Forget about 9 little girls, he could handle even 100 of them at once if he wanted to. Senior apprentice brother. The girls were slightly startled by his sudden laughter. Su Yang wiped the tears in his eyes and spoke, I understand that you think that I am biting more than I can chew, but I can assure you that such worries are unnecessary. If you still doubt me, then why don't I prove it to you? Su Yang spoke as he removed his robes before the girls, revealing to them his alluring body and magnificent rod. Oh my. The girls' eyes widened with shock and stared at Su Yang's perfect body with hearts in their eyes. They were already feeling the urge to pounce on him after being shown such a delicious view. Follow me if you want to cultivate. Today, I shall show you what I am capable of. Su Yang turned around and walked into his room with a confident aura surrounding his body, leaving the door open for the girls. The place turned dead silent, and the girls exchanged glances with each other. None of them spoke a word, but they all somehow understood what everybody else wanted to say and nodded their heads simultaneously. Although he may be senior in terms of status, he is still younger than us by a few years. Let's show him what happens when he challenges all of us at once. That's right. There's no way he can handle all of us together. Let's make him regret underestimating us. I won't stop sucking away his yang qi even if he begs me to stop. The girls took Su Yang's words as a challenge to them and decided to accept his challenge. Sometime later, once they prepared themselves and removed their clothes, they entered Su Yang's room, with only one goal in mind: to defeat Su Yang and squeeze every last bit of his yang qi out of him until he collapses from exhaustion. Once the girls beside Xianxia and Yu Yan entered Su Yang's room, the two of them exchanged glances. What do you think? Do you think senior apprentice brother will be able to handle all of them? Yu Yan asked. Xianxia pondered for a moment and spoke. Junior sister, let me ask you this. Did Su Yang release his yang qi even once when he cultivated with us? Yu Yan's eyes widened with shock, and she turned to look at Su Yang's room with a dazed expression. Chapter 224 Cultivating with 9 Beauties Simultaneously. When the only 6 girls that have yet to experience Su Yang's techniques today entered his room, they were shocked to find Shang Wenji laying on the bed with her eyes closed, seemingly passed out. Senior sister. The girls shook her body to wake her up, but alas, Shang Wenji remained unresponsive. "Don't worry about her, she fell asleep after our cultivation," Su Yang said to them. The girls looked at him with a dumbfounded expression. She had passed out from their cultivation. Just how intense was their session? Now then, Su Yang looked at the 6 naked beauties before him and said, "Who wants to be first?" Even in such a situation that could only be described as every man's paradise, Su Yang remained a calm composure, controlling his lustful desires perfectly. "I will go first." One of the 6 girls stepped forward, and her name was Jia Biu. Su Yang nodded, and once Jia Biu was on the bed, Su Yang massaged her body with the special oil for a few minutes to help her get into the mood. "What is that?" The other 5 girls that were watching from the sidelines asked him when they saw him pull out the oil. "It will strengthen your yin qi and increase the pleasure you feel," Su Yang explained. Something like that existed. They looked at the oil with great interest. "Ah, ah, ah," Jia Biu moaned like a signing bird when Su Yang massaged her little sister, causing the bystanders to swallow a mouthful of saliva. And once Jia Biu's body was hot enough, Su Yang pierced her body with his thick rod, increasing the volume of her song. Furthermore, after piercing Jia Biu, Su Yang turned to the other 5 girls and said, "I have enough hands for 2 more." He then showed them his 2 free hands with a smile. The girls were speechless. Just how much more efficient does he plan to get? Will he massage them with his feet next? A few seconds later, 2 more girls laid on the bed, one to the right of Jia Biu and the second girl on her left. 3 girls were laying on the bed before Su Yang right now, and he massaged the 2 on the sides with each of his hands while he handled Jia Biu in the center with his hips and little brother. The remaining 3 girls stared at the scene with their eyes popping out of their sockets, as they have never witnessed such a scene before. He's actually handling 3 of them at once. And it doesn't even affect his pace one bit. My lord, is he even a human? One would expect Su Yang to slow down his pace when he had to handle 3 women at once, but the girls were shocked to learn that such a limit did not exist for Su Yang. Furthermore, the 3 girls on the bed seemed to be enjoying it as much as next, meaning that even the pleasure he was giving them did not worsen despite being so busy with his entire body. Su Yang's techniques in bed were truly heaven-defying and mind-boggling, and these girls learned that today after seeing him in action. Ooh. The 3 girls on the bed sprayed simultaneously after just a few moments later, filling the room with yin qi. However, Su Yang was not finished with them and switched Jia Biu's position with one of the girls on the side and began thrusting his thick rod into her. More, ah. Yes, oh yes, faster. Do me faster, Su Yang cultivated with Jia Biu and the other 2 girls for half an hour, switching their positions every few minutes so that they could taste his thick rock without fighting for it or feeling left out. Senior apprentice brother, why don't you let them rest for a bit and cultivate with us? That's right, we are here too. The 3 girls that have been watching were barely able to control their urges to join them by force, as their little sisters have been dripping wet from arousal for some time now. Don't worry, I did not forget about you girls. Come over here, Su Yang said to them as he helped the 3 exhausted girls move to the end of the bed where Shang Wenji was resting. Luckily for Su Yang and the girls, he had prepared the room beforehand and moved the beds from the other empty rooms into this room before all of this happened, or else there wouldn't have been space to fit all of them on the bed at once, as the Profound Blossom Sect did not design this room to fit this many people cultivating at once. After moving the 3 exhausted girls out of the way, 3 more beauties laid before Su Yang with their bodies fully exposed to him and burning with passion. A few seconds later, Su Yang began moving again. With his left hand, he massaged the left girl's large breasts. With his right hand, he rubbed the right girl's wet cave. With his thick rod, he pounded the center girl's tight hole. And just like with the previous girls, he would switch their positions every few minutes so that they didn't have to feel left out. Senior apprentice brother, I love you. Ah, Tilda, me too. My body is burning, Tilda. The 3 girls screamed in pleasure as their bodies overwhelmed with pleasure, feeling as though they were in heaven. This continued for another half an hour with no breaks in between until 2 more figures entered the room. It was Xuan Jinglin and Yu Yan, and they also entered the room naked, their intentions as clear as day. See, can we also join? Xuan Jinglin asked him in a nervous tone. She was worried that Su Yang might see her as greedy after already doing it 2 times and refuse her. But fortunately for her, Su Yang also happened to be a greedy individual, especially when it comes to women. The more the merrier, he responded with a smile. Thus, 2 more beauties entered the frame. As for Shang Wenji, she also woke up a few minutes later due to the loud moaning in the room. Although she was bewildered at first to see everyone else in the room naked and taking turns cultivating with Su Yang when she woke up, she quickly adapted to the environment and joined them within minutes of waking up. Chapter 225. An endless supply of Yang Qi. Many hours have passed since all 9 disciples from the medicine hall entered Su Yang's room to challenge him in bed. However, they quickly realized that they were up against a monster with a seemingly immortal body that could not be exhausted, allowing him to cultivate with all of them without even breaking a sweat. Ah! Jia Biu released a deafening cry of joy when Su Yang suddenly filled her stomach with his Yang Qi, enveloping her body with heavenly pleasure. After releasing his Yang Qi into Jia Biu, Su Yang laid her back down on the bed to rest. Who's next? Su Yang turned to look at the other 8 beauties with narrowed eyes that resembled a predator looking at his prey. When the other girls saw that Su Yang's rod was still stiff despite just releasing his Yang Qi, they were shocked, scared. However, that was not even the scariest part. This is his 42nd time releasing Yang Qi, Xuan Jinglin spoke in a trembling voice. Normally, the average man will go limp after just 1 ejection, and even seasoned experts within the Profound Blossom Sect cannot remain stiff after a few discharges. Yet Su Yang, like it's some kind of a phenomenon, managed to release his Yang Qi 42 times and still remain as energetic as his first. It's almost like Su Yang has an endless supply of Yang Qi flowing within his body that is allowing him to have such a large quantity of Yang Qi. Another reason why Su Yang can remain so stiff after so many discharges may be due to his body having a powerful regenerating ability that is restoring his Yang Qi at a rate faster than it is being discharged. Either way, Su Yang's body was no different from a priceless treasure for the Profound Blossom Sect, and it will without a doubt become a commotion within the sect if the female disciples were to learn of it. After all, the Profound Blossom Sect is a place where its entire female population cultivates mostly using Yang Qi. In other words, the Profound Blossom Sect values Yang Qi like how the rest of the world values spirit stones as their main resource for cultivation. This is why it is without a doubt that Su Yang's heaven-defying ability to produce a mass quantity of Yang Qi will cause a commotion within the sect, as he is no different than a miracle fountain that could seemingly produce an endless amount of resources for the female disciples to cultivate with. In the worst case that the wrong type of people learns of Su Yang's amazing ability, they might even turn him into their Yang Qi slave, whose only purpose in life will be to produce Yang Qi until he dies in his prison. and due to the overall richness of his yang qi, the chances of such a tragic future would only be higher. I am next. Yu Yan approached Su Yang after the place had turned silent because the other girls were simply too exhausted and sensitive at this moment. While she has no plans on making Su Yang a Yang Qi slave, she intends on taking advantage of the current situation to cultivate as much of his Yang Qi as possible. The quality of his Yang Qi is absurdly rich and high, and better than any pill or resource I have used before. It'd be foolish of me to let such a chance go to waste. Yu Yan thought to herself as she sat on Su Yang's laps, who was in the sitting position, inserting his stiff rod deep into her hole. Like everybody there, she was determined to cultivate with Su Yang until she passes out from exhaustion because of overspraying. Oh, yes. Yes. Yu Yan began moving her body up and down, thrusting herself on Su Yang's rod. However, her actions did not last too long, as her exhaustion began hindering her movements a few seconds later. Once she slowed down, Su Yang held her by the butt and pounded her himself. Ah tilde! Yu Yan could feel her bottom lips burning with passion, and she screamed in delight. Sometime later, when Su Yang noticed that Yu Yan was beginning to lose consciousness from the overwhelming pleasure, he injected a large amount of Yang Qi into her body, filling her body with energy which allowed her to remain awake. Good Lord, he came again, and he's still as hard as ever. The girls finally understood the true meaning of the word indomitable today, as Su Yang was the embodiment of such word. Do you still want to continue? Su Yang asked the shocked spectators after moving Yu Yan to the side with a victorious grin on his face. The girls looked at his smug face and his thick rod that was provoking their lust, but alas, they all lowered their head and admitted defeat. You are simply too amazing, senior apprentice brother Su. Not only are your techniques unparalleled, but so is your endurance. It is our loss, said Xuan Jinglin with a bitter smile. That's right. You have taught me a valuable lesson today. That people like you can exist in this unworthy world. Shang Wenji spoke with her gaze filled with awe when looking at his seemingly flawless appearance. Senior apprentice brother, how can you still be so hard right now? I am speechless. Yu Yan sighed, her body feeling incredibly sore. I would love to continue cultivating with you until you are tired, but unfortunately my body will not be able to handle it. Even now, I can barely move. Jia Biu softly laughed. After speaking their thoughts to Su Yang, the girls exchanged glances with each other. A few seconds later, all 9 girls used what remaining strength they have left in their body to kowtow on the bed. Thank you, senior apprentice brother Su, for the cultivation session today, they said to him while in the kowtow position, their voices sincere, sounding like it came from the bottom of their heart. It is incredibly rare within the sect for inner court disciples to waste their time with outer court disciples like them because of their low cultivation bases. So for Su Yang to cultivate with them and even satisfy their body to such an extent, they felt nothing but respect for him. As a matter of fact, they doubt that even core disciples would be able to pleasure their bodies as Su Yang had. Despite the unusual sight, Su Yang remained calm and said to them with a handsome smile on his face, "It was my pleasure to be able to cultivate with you ladies."